Hello and welcome back to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football, live here from the Big House today. It's homecoming weekend, and we have our opening day of Big Ten play for the Michigan Wolverines. The currently ranked number 19 Wolverines face off against the also undefeated Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Both teams at 3-0, looking to advance to 4-0 today. It should be a good one. My name is Charlie Brigham. Alongside me, my two trusty co-hosts Adam Bressler and Matt Levy. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing phenomenal. It's great to be back in the broadcast booth. Big Ten game today, and I think there's a lot of question marks for this Michigan team, but hopefully in 1 hour game time we will figure out and answer some of those.
I agree, and I'm very excited. First ever game here calling football, so very excited to get this thing going.
Should be a great day here in Ann Arbor. The weather is held off. It was raining pretty hard here this morning. It was looking like it was going to be an ugly weather day, but still a little chilly. Temperature sitting right around high 50s, low 60s, a little bit of wind. Wind has been kind of picking up and letting off as we've been going here, but the rain is held off, so dry skies, and we are just about set. As it ticks just under a minute to game time, we would like to thank you for tuning into our coverage here of Michigan football live on WCBN Sports.
Exactly, and I do have to say, coming into this game, Michigan has two divergent paths, is I think the best way to put it. On one hand is the dominance that we have seen weeks 1 through 3. On the other hand is a brutal Big Ten schedule, just like what we saw last season. Michigan got one of their 2 wins against the Scarlet Knight, but it took 3 overtimes just to get there. So I would be wondering which of these Big Ten Michigan teams we're going to be seeing this afternoon. A lot of questions, but this Rutgers team isn't the classic Rutgers team we have seen since they joined the Big Ten about 8 years ago. They're 3-0 coming into this. And before kickoff, my one fun fact to leave you pondering with is only 2 teams in the Power 5 currently have 0 turnovers allowed, and that is Michigan and Rutgers. So let's keep an eye on whether that keeps up right as Rutgers prepares to kick off to the Michigan Wolverines.
Rutgers won the toss and has elected to defer to the second half. So as Adam said, the Wolverines will return it. It's Blake Corum fielding it by the 5-yard line. He's got a nice turn. It's taken down eventually at the 25-yard line. So Cade McNamara and the Michigan offense will go to work right at the 25.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see this pass game continue to get going. They were great against Northern Illinois, and I thought, yes, they struggled against Washington. That wasn't their game plan, but it's going to be interesting to see how they come out and if they throw the football or really stick to that run game and just punch Rutgers in the mouth.
It will be McNamara and the Michigan offense, as I said. Hassan Haskins in the backfield with him. 2 receivers split out wide. McNamara in the gun. A little bit of motion. It's going to be a handoff up the middle. Hassan Haskins has a bit of room to run, pushes through, and is taken down after a gain of about 7.
We saw this last week. We've seen this all season pretty much, is Michigan's strong desire to rely on the run game. It is a Midwestern Big Ten offense at its most extreme, and so far it's proven successful. I guess the question remains is with Rutgers knowing what is coming up, whether they have any answer to Michigan's 2 top running backs.
McNamara said Schoonmaker in motion. Now hands off up the middle to Hassan Haskins again, pushing through. And that's going to be enough for a first down. We've seen all throughout this season so far the kind of 1-2 punch between Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins. Haskins more of that power back. Corum bringing more of the athleticism and speed on the outside. But those 2 Michigan running backs alongside Donovan Edwards and some others as well has just been an absolutely incredible asset to this Michigan team. McNamara sends one in motion. 2 men split out wide again. Hands off to Haskins again. Nice little move there, and he's got a gain of 10 for another Michigan first down.
It's intriguing that they're relying on Haskins this early in the game. If you would have asked many pundits or fans after last week, you would have thought Blake Corum would be the number 1 guy to give the ball to. But that is really just a testament to the depth and strength of this running back room for the Wolverines, that they have 2 top guys in the nation who they can rely on and mix things up with.
Double twin set here for McNamara. Gets the snap. Again, it's going to be a handoff to Haskins. He's met right at the line, but pushes through, spins away from 1 tackle, and he's got a gain of 6. As I mentioned before, Haskins, that power back, just showing off the strength there.
Love the physicality from this Michigan offensive line, especially that left side. Ryan Hayes, Trevor Keegan really getting some push up in front. I love it. And getting Hassan Haskins getting in this football game and getting physical as well.
The other running back that we have mentioned and spoke so highly of, Blake Corum, checking in for the first time since his kick return. He is in the backfield behind McNamara. 3 men split out wide on the far side. Luke Schoonmaker sent in motion. Snap from McNamara. It's going to be a handoff this time to Corum. Dances around 1 man, and for a gain of 3, it's going to be stopped just short of the first down marker. Looks like it'll be 3rd and 1.
Yeah, let's see where the spot is going to be, how generous it is. But Michigan is having a hurry-up offense trying to get a playoff quick.
Here's the snap. Handoff to Corum again, and he pushes through. It's going to be close.
Looks like it'll be enough.
And we do have a signal from the referee. It is going to be enough for the first down. So Michigan going heavy with the run attack here. Not too surprised to see if you're a Michigan fan. Obviously, we've seen Michigan throughout the first 3 games of this season likes to get the run game going early, establish themselves, and the line establish themselves as a physical presence up front.
And Rutgers is playing 2 deep, so you might as well run the football. It's a favorable box right now.
Here's the snap. Handoff to Haskins again. He's going to have about a gain of 2. An impressive push.
Looks like Rutgers finally has an answer for this Michigan run game, even with 2 back. But all it takes is 1 or 2 plays for Michigan to break through, and they got the end zone. We saw that last week. We saw that 2 weeks ago. I'm sure we'll be seeing some of that later today.
Corum checking back in. 4 men wide. McNamara taking his time, talking to his line. Deep breath, fakes the clap. Looks over towards Corum, now gets the snap. McNamara drops back to pass for the first time today. Looking around, fires to the near side, but incomplete. That one goes off the hands.
Trey Avery was playing very tight man, and despite a pretty beautifully threaded pass, Avery was able to break it up and give a 3rd and long for the Wolverines for the first time this afternoon.
And this is the test to me. Can they convert these 3rd and longs?
3rd and 8 here for McNamara in the Michigan offense. 1 man set in motion, balanced field now. They look over to the sidelines and over to Coach Jim Harbaugh. Corum swaps sides. He's now situated over to the right of McNamara. Handoff to Corum. He's got a hole through the middle, and he's got enough for a first down and more. On 3rd and 8, Michigan goes back to the run for a gain of about 13, and they've got themselves another first down.
Gutsy play call, calling a run on a 3rd and long, but I think that just speaks to the strength of Michigan's run game, that they feel comfortable doing that. And it might have even caught Rutgers sleeping and Shiano sleeping about presuming that Michigan would rely on a pass and giving some room for Corum to find a gap.
Just speaking statistics, after Corum averages 8.5 yards a carry last week as he takes a handoff and falls down after about a gain of 1. Back to what I was saying, after averaging about 8.5 yards a carry last week, I mean, is 3rd and 8, handoff up the middle to the best player on the field, really that gutsy of a play call?
It's also the position on the field. They're at the 38, so even if they get a 4-yard gain, you can still go for it on 4th down or have a couple options there. So that's why you do that at that part of the field. Run it on 3rd and 8.
Wolverines going empty here on 2nd and 8. They have 4 bunched up on the far side. McNamara drops back, throws a slant, and he's got Cornelius Johnson, and that's going to be a first down. McNamara's first completion of the day, good for 9 yards.
Beautiful formation right there. 4 bunch on the far side, leaving Johnson alone one-on-one on the near side. Easy 10-yard slant, and Michigan is in the red zone now.
Cornelius Johnson done a great job of stepping up into that wide receiver 1 spot after Ronnie Bell went down in week 1. 2 men in the backfield alongside McNamara. It's going to be a handoff to Corum, dances around a little bit, finds a hole, and he's got a gain of 4.
They're throwing a lot of motions, trying to confuse this Rutgers defensive line. That's why you get that 5-yard game instead of just handing it up the middle, moving Cornelius Johnson over, just confusing this defensive line and allowing this offensive line to gain some push.
Couple substitutions come in. Cornelius Johnson back out there on the field. We saw him with a long 87-yarder last week. 2nd and 5 here for McNamara and the Michigan offense. 2 men split out wide to the right. It's going to be a handoff to Corum again. Finds a hole, spins off 1 tackle, just pushing through. He's up until about the 4-yard line. Looks like he's going to be just short of a first down. It's going to be 3rd and 1.
I don't think there's any doubt in this stadium with 100,000+ fans what play is going to be called now.
Back in the shotgun. McNamara hands off to Corum. He's got a push. He's got a first down. And he's going to be stopped at the 2-yard line. So it's going to be a fresh set of downs. 1st and goal for Cade McNamara and the Michigan Wolverines offense.
I'd expect a punch in right here. Corum is coming off the field. I'm kind of curious by that. We saw last week that Coach Harbaugh has been eager to feed him this season. Kind of pad his stats almost, but I guess not this play.
Double tight end set. Haskins in the backfield. I formation, handoff to Haskins. He gets tripped up, looks like, and he falls at about the 1-yard line.
Last week we did see a QB sneak on a 1-yard line. Wonder if a play will be called similar to that now.
2 tight ends again. McNamara, QB sneak. He pushes forward.
It's going to be close.
And from up here, it looks like he might have gotten his head across the line, but don't know the position of the ball. They're going to mark him short. That ball on about the half-yard line. I mean, the nose of that football is practically touching the goal line. So it'll be 3rd and goal. The ball about as close to the end zone as you can get.
Millimeters. Couple blades of grass separating it from the white line.
Would be surprised if Michigan does not give the ball to Hassan Haskins here on about the 1/4-yard line. McNamara under center. Gets a snap. Hands off to Haskins, and he walks easily into the end zone. Touchdown, Wolverines.
Michigan wastes no time. Last week they scored a touchdown on their first 9 drives. Starting today with that streak unbroken.
This Michigan offense just moved down the field at will. That drive, 74 total yards and a touchdown capped off by Hassan. It'll be Jake Moody to attempt the point after.
And that offensive drive, you got to give credit, as much as you want to give credit to the running backs, that offensive line. You see 68 Bastardas running off the field, jumping up and down. They love it. This offensive line is into the football game. That feels like the difference between last year's football team and this year's. It's the offensive line. They're gaining push against every team we've seen so far, including in this one early.
Good snap, good hold, and Jake Money Moody puts it through the uprights. The lead is 7 for the Wolverines with 7:16 left to play here in the first quarter. Cade McNamara, 1 of 2 for 10 yards on that drive, with the 1 completion coming on the slant route to Cornelius Johnson Jr., and the Michigan running backs splitting the load, 34 yards on 7 carries and a touchdown for Haskins, 30 yards on 7 carries for Blake Corum. And as you mentioned, Matt, just the Michigan front 5 has been an absolute just freight train all season long. They're pushing teams back at will, and when they need to, holding their blocks long enough for quarterbacks Cade McNamara and also J.J. McCarthy at times to get the time that they need.
The real benefit of Michigan's strong O-line plus their deep backfield is it allows them to be in control pretty much the entire game. We have not seen pretty much all season them playing from behind, even when it was close before they were able to break open the Washington game. I don't think there was ever a time where Michigan or coaches or fans or analysts were concerned about their ability to win the game. 8-minute drive to lead off this game. That is the true benefit, side effect that you get when you can just run it on will and keep moving those chains down.
Throughout the season so far, the Wolverines haven't had much trouble scoring the football. And really, it didn't really matter how much time of possession the opposing team got. But as we start to move further into Big Ten play and Michigan starts to face, tougher teams than the first 3 that they played this season, that time of possession and being able to eat up large chunks of the clock like that is going to be hugely beneficial to this team down the road.
It's Big Ten's style of play. It's just pounding the rock, getting the ball moving, moving it on the ground, and wearing down your opponents. So I'm intrigued to see how they'll match up against other teams that play like that. Coming to mind, I think Wisconsin beat Indiana.
And I think they'll be fresh. These running backs will be fresh for that game because they just switch up. You said it yourself, Adam. When Corum came out of the game at the goal line, you can just bring in Haskins, and they're like interchangeable, and they both get the needed rest, even though they can run the football all day long, and that's just the benefit. Even if you needed to bring Donovan Edwards, you can trust him as that third running back. So that helps you down the stretch as we head into Big Ten play. They're going to be facing really good defensive lines, and this offensive line, of course, is going to be challenged, but if you have 2 fresh running backs that can continue to give you input and yards every play, that's just a plus going forward.
Speaking of Big Ten play, a score update from Chicago. Notre Dame played Wisconsin. They were tied at 10 going into the final quarter, and the Fighting Irish cracked that one open. Final score 41-13. Does not bode well for Wisconsin's AP ranking going into the Michigan game next weekend.
So as the media timeout wraps up, Jake Moody will kick off here. This one well out of the back of the end zone. That one almost into the stands. Moody showing off the leg right there. So Aiden Hutchinson and the Michigan defense will come out to try to stop this Scarlet Knights offense in their track and get their Michigan offense back out there on the field.
Yeah, Michigan's defense comes to the field for the first time today. You mentioned Jake Moody's powerful leg. It is quite windy out now, and it looks like it'll stay that way the entire game. I wonder if that's going to affect either team's special teams game planning.
Watch number 18 for Rutgers, Bo Melton. He's one of the best receivers. He's the number 1 target for quarterback Noah Vedra. Watch him. He's going to be a big part in how Michigan's defense plays today.
Play action on the first play. Screen pass out to the outside, and Michigan stops it right away. That one going to be a loss of 1. Pass over to the far side to Aaron Cruikshank.
Michigan's defense wastes no time stepping pedal to the metal. That front defensive line is probably the strongest aspect of this team. Some questions remain in the secondary, but with Dax Hill and Vincent Gray, at least some talent back there.
It'll be 2nd and 11 here. Federal coming back out again. He's got 2 twins look on either side. It's going to be a handoff up the middle, and Michigan another tackle for a loss.
And that was Hutchinson getting a hand or 2 in there, bringing him down. Aiden Hutchinson, he is having the season of his life right now. If he keeps this up, he'll be a top 10, top 5 even NFL draft pick.
Yeah, we discussed that a little bit before the broadcast. Correction on my end, Hutchinson had the tackle for loss in the background, spun the running back around, and actually threw him forwards 2 yards. So it'll be 3rd and 9 here for Vedral and the Scarlet Knights offense. 3 running backs on the near side. Drops back to pass. Looking on the far sideline, and he's got a man, and it's caught. Blown coverage right there on the far sideline. Very beautifully thrown ball. Jamon Green just looked lost out there on the far sideline. Ball was thrown back shoulder towards the sideline. Green had no idea where the ball was going. So big pickup there. Gain of 24 yards, and Rutgers is now situated at midfield. Fresh set of downs here. Motion, here's the snap. It's going to be a play action pass, double fake. Vedral's going to throw it to the sideline, and he's got another 10 yards. That one, a little bit of a trick play from Rutgers. Faked the dive up the middle, faked the reverse. Vedral took his time, looked downfield, couldn't find anything, and then eventually hit the man that he faked the reverse to on a little screen pass.
Yeah, this is concerning about Rutgers' ability to exploit Michigan's secondary. see if the Wolverines have any adjustments going forward.
2nd and 1 here after the gain of 9. Handoff up the middle, and the Michigan defense stops him in his tracks, but he pushed forward just enough for a fresh set of downs. It's going to be 1st and 10 on the Michigan 39-yard line.
And that was Pacheco. He's probably one of the best players on this Rutgers offense. He can pound the football. He's over 150 yards on the year, 45 carries, and a couple touchdowns. So watch out for him. And Crookshank's been involved early. That's another interesting piece. The junior, he's also been very involved. He's the 2nd receiver right behind Melton.
Vedral dropping back into the gun now. He's got a trips look to his left-hand side, throws a quick little screen pass, and that's going to be incomplete. Way outside, intended for Aaron Crookshank.
And look at 97. Aiden Hutchinson hustling over there. He obviously had an impact on that play. He's all over the field, the speed that he can play at, and he can drop back into coverage, and he just did that right there. So impressive from number 97.
That is Noah Verdal's first incompletion of the night.
2nd and 10 here. 2 receivers split out wide. The running back in the background behind Vedral. Looking for a screen pass on the near sideline. He's got the corner and taken down after a gain of what looked like 10. He looks like he's got a first down. Actually, they're going to mark him what looks like short. And so it's going to be 3rd and 1.
Josh Ross showing his speed and space there, chasing down the man. Pachenko was diving for the first down marker, and Ross able to stop him just barely enough.
That hustle from Ross could turn out to be huge here if the Michigan defense can hold on 3rd and 1. 3 men split out wide to the left for Rutgers. Vedral drops back into the gun. Sends a man in motion, gets a snap. It's going to be a handoff going wide, running all the way to the sidelines and taken down for a loss. Pacheco tried to get the edge, but Michigan just tracked him down. Brad Hawkins.
Yeah.
What a hustle play. Wow. That speed from this Michigan defense early and apparent.
Going to be a loss of 2, and I'm curious to see what the play call is on the 32. Are they going to bring out the kicking team? Maybe to that ambiguous zone where it's a bit too far for a field goal, certainly not far enough for a punt, maybe even going for it here.
Looks like they will. It's 4th and 3, and Vedral and the Scarlet Knights offense is still out there. They've got a little bit of a trick play set up here. Johnny Langen is going to run the ball. It's going to be a wildcat formation. They got the first down.
And that worked perfectly for the Scarlet Knights. They needed 3 yards. They got 3 yards and 1 inch. Just barely enough to move the chains, but that's all they needed.
Langen listed as a quarterback. Where's number 21? Coming into that wildcat formation, we saw Vedral motion out wide. So the risk on 4th down pays off. Rutgers, fresh set of downs here. Ball inside the 30, just moving it down the field on the Wolverines. Vedral motions a man out, and he's going to run a QB draw, and he's tackled after a gain of 3.
That's a tough break for Michigan's defense on that last set of downs. Got a big-time stop on 3rd down. Think it might force either the punter or the kicker out, and Rutgers is able to salvage the drive.
And if I'm Rutgers, you got to do that against a high-powered Michigan offense. It's what you see nowadays. Analytics would tell you you have to go for it in that 4th and short area. Kicking a field goal does you no good when Michigan can score at will.
Vedral drops back again. In the backfield alongside him is Kyle Managi. Dropping back to pass. Dax Hill right in his face, and he breaks it up.
I wonder if he got a hand on it, but if he would have been a split second later to throw it, he would have had his back on the turf with a loss of several.
Looked like he got the ball around the hand of Dax Hill and just threw it way out of bounds. Pass intended for his receiver on this near sideline. Dax Hill, great athleticism there. Came off the edge practically untouched. Jumped up into the face of Vedral to put pressure on that pass. That ball was about a foot to the right. Hill might have been able to intercept that. Bunch look tight on this right side. Vedral drops back into the gun. Sends a man in motion. Now 2 double sets. Sends another one in motion. And it's going to be a QB keeper on the read option. He's stopped after a gain of 2.
Here's another decision, 4th and 3.
You got to kick it now. You're on the 22-yard line. Last time they were on the 33. Completely different ball game.
I agree.
And it is going to be the kicking unit that comes out. So Valentino Ambrosio, the place kicker for the Scarlet Knights, coming out looking to make this a 4-point ball game. Ball on the 22-yard line. This one about a 37-yard field goal attempt. The snap, it's a good hold. This one up and looks like it's right through the uprights. So Rutgers on the board. Score now sits 7-3. Michigan still out in front.
Very fortunate for Rutgers special teams. The wind was blowing pretty hard that whole drive, but kind of died down quick just for enough for the kick to go up and through, and just like that, the wind picks right back up.
That's the thing. We mentioned it before the game. The weather having an impact here. Not so much the rain as we saw earlier in the morning that has since stopped, but that wind. We saw it help out. Jake Moody kicked the ball almost out of the stadium on his last kickoff attempt, but that one, the wind blowing right back into the face of Ambrosio on the field goal attempt. So it'll be McNamara and the Michigan offense coming back out there. Recap of the last drive. Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum leading the way, 34 yards and 30 yards respectively, both with 7 carries. Drive ending after Hassan Haskins punched it in from the half-yard line. Cade McNamara 1 for 2 with 10 yards.
Last week's game, Michigan got a stop on their first drive, but then second drive on defense gave up a field goal, so it's almost some symmetry. Early in the game, it was 7-3 back then, and it's now 7-3 right now. Fortunately for Michigan last week, they got 11 straight stops. So if they could keep that up now, that would be huge for them. But different teams between the Northern Illinois Huskies and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
And I also think one key that we saw last week that we could see this week is the Michigan offense. This is a much better Rutgers defense. If this defense can get some stops, it kind of gives that offense some momentum, which Michigan has really done by saying, okay, that offense just continues to go, score touchdowns, and that gives the defense a lot of momentum, and then the offense starts pressing. If Rutgers defense can step up, unlike what they did on the first drive, that changes the whole ball game. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the defense of Rutgers can really help the offense by stopping this Michigan high-powered offense.
It'll be interesting to see how this drive plays out. Michigan, like we said, just marched down the field their last time. The Rutgers defense really didn't have any answers up front for this Michigan offensive line. Coach Harbaugh on the offense. Down in the huddle there as we have under a minute left in this media timeout. Matt, I want to throw a question over your way. We've seen Michigan's offense be able to produce at an extremely high rate throughout this entire season, and we saw them take up a lot of the clock in that first drive. What do you think the key is here for this Rutgers defense to be able to hold this Michigan team at bay?
Yeah, and I think it all starts with this defensive line and this linebacker core. You got Fatukasi, if I pronounce his name correctly, is 6 tackles for loss on the year, 3.5 sacks. If he can be a problem for this Michigan offensive line, that can really help this this secondary, because this secondary is probably the strength of Rutgers, along with that defensive line. So if they can just crowd the line, trust their corners in one-on-one coverage against Michigan wide receivers, that would be my strategy if I'm Rutgers.
1 minute and 8 seconds left on the game clock here in the first quarter. Ambrosio to kick off. Back deep is Blake Corum. Kick is away. It's going to be short of the end zone, so Corum's going to return this. Catches it at about the 8-yard line. He's got some room to work. Breaks one tackle, and he's taken down at the 27-yard line.
He was half a foot away from having the open field. One of Rutgers' special teamers got one hand on the leg, twisted him up, and by then a couple of guys could provide some support. But still a pretty solid return, giving Michigan the ball on their own 28 to begin this drive.
I think right now would be a good time to take a shot. At some point, this Michigan offense, if these Rutgers safeties come down, pinch down, these linebackers too, why not take a shot down the field? Could work, because Michigan's showing a lot of run zones. I would throw the football right over the top.
McNamara is empty in the backfield. Looks like he's going to do just that. This one over the middle. Caught And he's got the ball over the 50-yard line. Nice throw and catch there. That went into the hands of the tight end, Eric All.
And you almost predicted it. I feel like you're Tony Romo up in this broadcast booth, calling the plays before they happen, but they saw the opportunity. Rutgers was having a lot of defenders at the line expecting a run, and Michigan took advantage of that for a 25-yard gain.
All had the entire field to himself there for a nice little run after the catch. Game clock ticks under 30 seconds. Here's the snap. It's going to be a handoff to Corum. He's got a lead blocker. Gets past one man and is taken down after a gain of 4.
That last play with the gain was great at keeping them honest. As you mentioned early in the game, Rutgers had a lot of defensive backs, 2 or 3 on each play, and it gave room for Michigan's run defense or run offense to penetrate and find some gaps. They were finally relying on Rutgers coming in, and it was stopping this run defense, so now they were able to space that one out.
That last play will do it for the first quarter, so after 1 quarter of action, the Michigan offense has prevailed. 7-3 is the score. The Wolverines out in front.
I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like this first quarter went faster than it did the previous couple weeks. I guess there weren't as many explosive plays for either teams. Almost every set of downs went to third or fourth for both Rutgers and Michigan. Drove down the whole field, able to milk out a lot of the clock, and very few incompletions or runs out of bounds to stop that clock.
Well, I mean, we're only on the 3rd change of possession going into the second quarter. Michigan on their first possession of the game. Rutgers won the toss, elected to defer, so Michigan got the ball first. On their touchdown drive, they ate up over 8 minutes of the game clock. And when they finally gave the ball back to the Rutgers Knights, Rutgers marched their way down the field, kicked a field goal, and kicked it back to the Michigan offense with only 1 minute left on the clock. So both teams really using as much of the game clock as they can. This one a lot less explosive, as Adam mentioned, than in the past few games. Give you a quick recap if you missed it. The first 3 weeks for this Michigan team, they won 47-14 against Western Michigan in their season opener. Next week, they won 31-10 in the night game against Washington. And then last week, as we mentioned, they scored a touchdown on their first 9 possessions, beating up on Northern Illinois with a score of 63-10.
When you play weaker defenses that don't have as good of a defensive line, that's what's going to happen. This Michigan run game is going to go to work. But right now, you got to give credit to Rutgers. They're holding the Michigan running backs under 4 yards a carry, under 5 yards a carry, right now with an average 16 carries, 67 yards, and 4.2. So that's something to watch. If this defensive line can hold their own, as I mentioned, that's a plus. And that kind of milks this clock a little bit more than Michigan would want to. That shortens the game, and then that gives Rutgers some opportunities to take advantage of Michigan's weak secondary.
You know, you mentioned the running backs being held to just under 5 yards a carry, which for a lot of other running backs in the nation would be extremely good. 4.5 yards a carry. I mean, you hand the ball off every time. You're just going to march all the way down the field. But as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, last week Blake Corum averaged 8.5 yards a carry. These Michigan running backs, Corum and Haskins, even into guys like Donovan Edwards, they've just been able to do everything they wanted all season long throughout these first 3 games. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights finally having a little bit of pushback and finally kind of showing us that they might be mortal.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you face the Big Ten. I mean, they just have better defensive lines, better talent. Washington's defense is more suited as a zone defense. So this is the first kind of mini real test for this Michigan offense, and it's showing just a little bit. You're not getting 8 yards every time you run the football. It's going to be more like 4, and you're going to have to grind out a couple more games.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Going back to that last completion from Cade McNamara to Eric All, that is bigger than some people might realize. Getting a pass play for 24 yards kind of makes Rutgers have to respect the pass and respect the play action a lot more than they would have if, McNamara had still only been 1 for 2 with 10 yards. We've seen, as we've mentioned a few times, Haskins and Corum can't just run all over the field, or at least haven't shown that they can yet against this Rutgers defense. So Cade McNamara being able to pick apart this secondary is going to be huge for Michigan's success here in the second quarter. We have the whistle, and we are set to go. McNamara back in the gun, 2nd and 7 here. Hassan Haskins towards his left side. Cornelius Johnson on this near sideline, split out wide. It's going to be a play action, looking again over the middle, and he's got a man to the 30, to the 20, and finally dragged out at the 8-yard line. Great throw and catch there, and we do have a flag on the field. That pass completed to Roman Wilson.
That's the type of explosive play that we did not see very much of in the first quarter. Michigan, first play of the second, they bring it on out. But let's take a look at this yellow handkerchief and see what the Zebras have to say.
Could be a horse collar if it's down by the 10.
And it is going to be a horse collar tackle called on Rutgers, so just add insult to injury there after the big 38-yard gain to Roman Wilson. The ball's going to move forward half the distance to the goal. So Michigan opening up the second quarter with a little bit of a spark. It's going to be 1st and goal from the 3-yard line.
And that was actually the first play-action pass of the game. And look at what that resulted in. So that's something to watch. Michigan play-action should be there all day long with this running game.
Pistol look here from McNamara, hands it off to Haskins, and he's into the end zone for the second time today. Hassan Haskins up the middle.
Haskins has 6 touchdowns on the season already. It is incredible that Michigan's offense has already only 3.5 games, 3.25 games in the book. 2 players with 6 or more rushing touchdowns. That is incredible.
Makes the offense so easy for Cade McNamara. When you can give it to these guys and you have wide open play action passes down the field, it makes it so easy, it looks like, from here. So great drive again, using the pass game a little bit more. Something Eric Gall 24 yards, and then you had Roman Wilson 38 yards. That's key. That's really key once teams start to stack the box against Michigan, like Rutgers did. You saw it. They held them to less than 5 yards a carry. Michigan took advantage of that, and that's what happened. They scored a touchdown from that.
Jake Moody's extra point attempt up and good, so the lead now 11 for Michigan. 14-3 is the score. The Wolverines over the Scarlet Knights. That second quarter drive only took 20 seconds. McNamara and the Michigan offense extremely efficient there. Open it up with that big play to Roman Wilson, as we mentioned. Got the ball down to the 7-yard line. Rutgers was called for a horse collar tackle, so bring it up to 1st and goal from the 3. Hand off to Hassan Haskins, and you've got a touchdown in the making.
I feel like we jinxed it because at the intermission, we were talking about the lack of explosive plays, and they come out and have 2 giant explosive plays to lead off the quarter.
I'm sure Michigan fans at home would be very happy to hear us have to correct ourselves for that.
And now let's see this defense. Now does this Rutgers offense, 2 touchdowns, 2 drives for the Wolverines offense, as I mentioned. Does this Rutgers offense start to press a little bit or do some uncharacteristic things, maybe a turnover or 2? So let's watch that coming in. Or do they take advantage of this Michigan secondary and hold their own? That's the key, because this Michigan offense gives this defense a lot of momentum. Can the defense really take advantage besides an Aiden Hutchinson and Daxton Hill? Can the secondary really step up, a Vincent Gray, a Green? So we'll see what happens, but I'd love to see this secondary really play good football here.
Absolutely, and it's a key defensive drive for Michigan. Putting a quick stop, possibly even a 3 and out, will keep the momentum on the Wolverines' sideline, but letting them, even if Rutgers is unable to score, but allowing them to milk out the clock, drive down into Michigan's territory, it allows them to fight back some of the momentum that Michigan earned very hardly. Hardly is not a right word. Worked hard to earn, I guess that's better, on the opening drives of this second quarter.
Couldn't agree more. This is a football broadcast, but I want to give credit where credit is due to some of the athletic teams here in Michigan that the station doesn't have the opportunity to cover. Earlier in the game, we saw the Michigan softball team get honored for being the 2020 Big Ten champions just now. We saw the Michigan women's gymnastics team get honored earlier, and just now the Michigan field hockey team get honored. They won the Big Ten last year, made it all the way to the national championship. Unfortunately fell to North Carolina to come in second place in the nation. North Carolina, a historically good program. One heck of a run for the Michigan field hockey team, but they are right back on top, currently ranked #1 in the nation.
Absolutely, and tune into WCBN. We have a couple of field hockey games coming your way shortly. We got 2 weekends from now on the 8th, and then we got another one on the 11th as well. And then we got, to close out the season, let me pull up our broadcast schedule. We got one on the 22nd and 24th. So we got 4 home broadcasts all coming your way. WCBN will be covering all of those in the month of October. So stay tuned to our social media handles for details about that.
You can find all of those games here on our YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to click that subscribe button under the video feed and click that bell icon so you can be notified anytime we go live so you never miss a broadcast. And with that, we are back in action. Jake Moody set to kick off here. This time the wind blowing in his face, so it's going to really test the leg strength here. And Moody, no problem kicking this one back into the end zone. So it'll be a touchback, and Rutgers will go to work at the 25.
That is one of the underappreciated strengths of this Michigan team is Jake Moody and his just pure automatic talent to pin the opponent on the 25. Even when they are trying to maybe run it out, they can't. And that will be key, especially against some of these electric special teams. I'm thinking of Ohio State, thinking of Indiana, thinking of Penn State. The ability to just give them the ball regardless on the 25 to start every drive is underappreciated and going to be crucial later in this season.
3 wide receivers split out wide for Rutgers. 2 on the far side, 1 on this near side. Vedral back in the gun. And they're going to run a little bit of a quick toss to the outside. And he's going to be pushed out after a gain of 4. Aiden Hutchinson over there on the play. There is a flag. It looks like it might be a late hit. We're going to wait for confirmation on what the flag is here.
We need to hire Dean Blandino or one of our own WCBN referee experts.
Even with that late hit, you got to love the speed of this defense. Rutgers is testing it really well, but you've seen some key players, Aiden Hutchinson on the edge. You saw Hawkins on the edge, and that time, just this Michigan defense moving sideline to sideline is something we really wanted to see, and that they're showing early despite the personal foul.
So after the penalty, it'll be 1st and 10 from the 45-yard line. Rutgers catches a break there and gets some free yardage.
Showing the replay, that was awfully close. He almost had a foot in bounds when he started hitting, but probably the right call at the end of the day.
Same formation, Vedral back to pass. Throws a little hitch route on the near sideline, and a gang of Wolverines takes him down there. That pass completed to Shameen Jones. Or correction, Christian Dremel. A gain of 8 there. It'll be 2nd and 2 from now the opposing 47. Michigan being pushed back into their own territory as the sun comes out through the clouds and lights up the big house here. Rutgers wasting no time. Here's the snap, handoff up the middle, and Aiden Hutchinson making a play in the backfield.
He's so impressive in the running game. Oh, my goodness. He can provide the pass rush, but his run defense is unbelievable.
He is incredible because he basically puts a ceiling on what the opponent could get. At most, they're getting a gain of 2 or 3 with him in this run defense.
Pacheco was running away from Aiden Hutchinson there and still came all the way across the line and made the tackle in the backfield for a loss of about half a yard. 3rd and 2 here. Pacheco motioning back to the right side of Vedral now. They're going to hand it off again. And he's got a hole and enough for a first down. That one a gain of about 6.
And that was a little bit of a counterplay, and that's something where Michigan's defense, that kind of takes away Aiden Hutchinson a little bit from that run game and allows the Rutgers offensive line to push forward away from him. So that's something that other teams can do against the Michigan defensive line when you have one stud like Aiden Hutchinson.
Fresh set of downs for Rutgers as the sun comes out here in Ann Arbor. Vedral looking to his right, now to his left, drops back, fakes play action. Throwing on the run to Pacheco in the flats, and he's going to be taken down after a gain of 4.
Great play by Vincent Gray. He recognized that play call, and he was like, I'm getting over there. I'm getting off my man. That's something that the Michigan defense has really improved upon, instincts. And that was a great instinct type of play from Vincent Gray.
after
Gray will have to come to the bench. His helmet came off after the hit, so I have to sit out at least one play, but I'm sure we'll be seeing him back in the defensive formation shortly.
2nd and 5 from the 36-yard line here. When we get the next snap, Rutgers breaking the huddle now. Vedral alone in the backfield. 3 men split out wide on this near side, 2 on the far side. Vedral scanning the field with this empty look, gets a snap, drops back to pass. Hitch route broken up. Great play there by Donovan Jeter, just using his size to his advantage. Throws the hands up in the air and bats that one down right back at Vedral.
Like a brick wall, too. He could have almost brought that in if he probably wanted to. He had 2 hands on it and just swatted it down.
Jeter showing the strength. His right arm was pinned down by the block, brought the arm up through both arms of the right tackle, and still was able to bat that down.
If I'm Rutgers, I'm running this twice because you're in that green zone.
It is going to be a run on 3rd and 5. It's going to be close. We'll see where the ball is marked.
It looks like it's going to be a yard short, but can't imagine they punt or kick here. They're in that zone, as you mentioned, especially with 4th and 1. You got to go for it.
Yeah, you run the ball twice, take up some clock, keep this Michigan offense off the field.
Worst comes to worst, you pin them on the 31 to start their next drive. That's probably what they would end up getting on, maybe not a punt, but on a field goal and then a kick. But
4th and 1 here. The big house is getting loud.
And
Rutgers looking confused, looking for a little bit of a trick play, and Michigan all over it.
Looks like the ball man came loose, and Pachenko tried scooping it up, and he still couldn't get it.
And that's going to be a turnover on downs.
Hutchinson is ecstatic coming to the sideline.
What was Vedral doing? The ball just got snapped. They should have called a timeout or something.
I think that may have been part of the play. I think
that
it was supposed to be a trick play, a wildcat. But Michigan was having none of that, and they will take the ball over on Rutgers 32.
Pacheco was up in the running, or back in the running back position. Vedral kind of tried to trick the Michigan defense, looked over towards the sideline, started walking with his hands up, just very confused, asking his coaches what was going on. Pacheco runs up, gets under center, and takes the snap, what would have been a sort of QB sneak type play, but fumbles it, and Michigan was all over it. They were locked in from the second that play started, so it'll be a turnover on downs. Aiden Hutchinson and the Michigan defense holding strong on 4th down.
And that was a big test for Michigan's defense. Up until that point, Rutgers was able to get every first down when they have needed to do so, but Michigan finally able to get up a big stop on 4th, and they'll get the ball over back on offense with the potential to extend their lead even further.
And these offenses have really little margin for error against this Michigan offense because Michigan can score at will with what it seems like so far. They have two drives, 2 touchdowns, and now they can, if they score again, they're 21-3, and then basically Rutgers is right out of this football game, even though they've moved the football pretty well offensively. So it's just a testament to how you game plan as an offense facing a vaunted offense like Michigan.
Exactly. And this might sound like blasphemy almost, but I would almost say this Rutgers offense is the best offense Michigan has faced yet this season. And you think, like, Rutgers is kind of, maybe not recently, but right after they joined the Big Ten, they were kind of the running gag of the conference. But they have shaped up into a pretty solid program under Sean Gleason at OC and head coach Craig Schiano.
After eating up about 7 minutes of game clock on their first drive that resulted in a field goal, Rutgers shut down after just under 3 minutes on this drive. The Michigan defense holding strong even after a few penalties gave Rutgers some free yardage.
Exactly, and it all comes down to Michigan's offense. We mentioned how last week they were able to score on the first 9 drives, not just score, get a touchdown too. So far they have 2 touchdowns on their first 2 drives. They can keep that going. This game will quickly get out of hand for the Scarlet Knights.
Immediate timeout just about ready to wrap up So Cade McNamara and the Michigan offense will head back out there and look to score for the third consecutive possession. As we mentioned last week against Northern Illinois, Michigan scored a touchdown on their first 9 drives. Here today against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, they're 2 for 2.
Yeah. For those just tuning in, 11:21 remaining in the second quarter. Michigan leads 14-3 as they take possession over on their own 32 after a turnover on downs on an odd trick play. I'm sure we'll be talking about that all week from Rutgers.
Pistol look from McNamara. It's going to be a handoff up to Blake Corum, and he's got a gain of about 3. So Michigan still pounding the ball here. But
why shouldn't they? If it's not broke, don't fix it. At the minimum, the floor for these running backs is a gain of 2 or 3 yards. And they both Corum and Haskins have such high upside potential. They could be in the end zone potentially and at least get a gain of 15 or 20.
McNamara alone in the backfield. Trips look on this near sideline. 2 receivers split out wide on the far side in front of the Rutgers bench. Taking his time here, now gets the snap, drops back to pass. He's got the slant completed to Blake Corum, makes one man miss, makes another, and he's either going to be just short or right on that first down marker, and we're going to get a signal it's going to be a first down.
And this is so different from the first 3 weeks. They're forced to throw the football because Rutgers' defense is selling out on this run game, and they're doing pretty well to me. 3-4 yards, that's fine against this Michigan offense that was averaging 8 yards a carry, but you're seeing this empty formation. Cade McNamara converting, that's a really good sign for this Michigan offense, throwing the football more often in this game compared to the first 3 weeks.
A few substitutions for the Wolverines. A.J. Henning comes onto the field for the first time today. Motions now across the field. He's going to be the lone receiver on this near sideline. Here's the snap. McNamara on play action. Looking for a man. He throws a little sidearm pass to Blake Corum, complete for 3 yards. Rutgers all 1-1. Not confused at all. So it'll be 2nd and 7 here for Michigan.
I'm intrigued by Michigan's change of strategy with regards to the passing game. Week 1, they were going for these deep sideline shots, which worked out well when Ronnie Bell was on the field, but not as much when he was out. But now they have an adjustment.
Handoff to Blake Corum here. And he's going to be stopped for at most a gain of 1. Rutgers read that play really well. It looks like they will give him the yard there, so it'll be 3rd and 6 from the 47-yard line. And we have a few players down on the field.
And that's Fatu Kazi. He's their best player. Rutgers' best defensive player, but they look to be okay. Him and Corum.
What looked like might have happened is Fatu Kazi and a Michigan player looked to be kind of caught up. They were both kind of awkwardly on the ground, almost on top of each other. Might have had a bit of an equipment malfunction there, but both are back up on their feet and still in the game. 3rd and 6 here with 9:05 left in the game clock.
Obvious passing situation. First one of the game. This should be very interesting.
I don't know. We thought that earlier, and they ran it for a gain of 15 on 3rd and 8.
McNamara sends a man in motion. Now he's going to drop back to pass on play action. Hits Eric All, and he's going to be dropped for a gain of 1.
That is a questionable play call right there. 3rd and 6. Is a screen pass to the tight end really the best play call? I guess it's easy to say in hindsight, but even before the play, that is not what I would have drawn up.
So with 4th and 7 from the 46, Michigan is going to bring out the punt unit. Brad Robbins, first time we've seen him in the past 2 weeks. Michigan didn't punt at all last week against Northern Illinois, so Robbins finally getting some action here. Michigan not scared to fake punts. We've seen it earlier this season, but doubtful here on 4th and 7. The punt is away. Nice punt, spiraling back towards the end zone. It's going to bounce, and it's going to roll out at about the 3-yard line.
That may have been the most beautiful coffin corner I've had the pleasure of seeing in person. Looked like it would go straight into the end zone, turned 90 degrees straight to the sideline, and went right out of bounds. Pat McAfee would be proud of that one.
I was just about to say, Pat McAfee would be all over that. Brad Robbins is hyped up on the sidelines, and rightfully so. Beautiful punt there to pin Rutgers deep into their own territory.
Now this is where Michigan's defensive line comes into play. Potentially a safety might be in the cards.
We have our weekly Slippery Rock update up there on the scoreboard. Last week they won 53-7. They set to face off today at 6 p.m. against Seton Hall.
And just going back to that last drive, on a 3rd down and 6, probably first or second obvious passing situation. Adam, you mentioned that 3rd and 8 earlier, but a play-action little screen play, I would have liked them to push the ball a little bit more downfield. And you got to trust your quarterback in that situation. In every football game now, you got to trust your quarterback. 3rd down and long, your quarterback needs to make a play. Doing this little tight end screen pass against a team that know what's coming is frankly questionable. Questionable play calling, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I'd rather throw the football there, get the first down, even just attempt it. Why not? Give Cade McNamara the confidence to go downfield, because you're going to need to do that against a Wisconsin next week, against a Ohio State, against a Penn State on the road. So questionable play call for sure from Josh Gaddis.
And we have one student on the field for the punt return. Unfortunately, unable to bring in any of those. Got to go home empty-handed from that.
A weekly thing to bring out a student onto the field for the catch-a-punt contest. We've seen actually higher success rates than usual through the first 3 weeks. We actually had a student last week win $500 catching all 3 punts, going 3 for 3. Unfortunately, Ella here today 0 for 3, so she's going to go home empty-handed.
Would be interesting if you do really good. You might get a call from Michigan's special teams. Might bring you in for a walk-on tryout.
There's a little bit of a difference, I think, personally, to catching some punts out of a jugs machine with no pads alone in the middle of the field. And
who knows? All you need is just to get that impression on the coach, and they might give you in a tryout. You never know. But always a fun activity to get the crowd involved. Speaking of which, the student section is pretty packed, with the exception of the real upper levels, basically shoulder to shoulder, and not too surprising too, because packed in pretty tight.
This weekend, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, is homecoming for the Michigan Wolverines. So in addition to the packed student section as usual, we have a lot of parents and alumni back in the stadium today. We would just like to welcome them back in and welcome them home to Ann Arbor.
Absolutely, and they couldn't have asked for better weather. I was really concerned this morning when I woke up. It was raining so much. But now, it's besides the wind, you couldn't ask for a better football weather. It's like 65, handful of clouds on the south side of the stadium, but pretty clear on the north. And
Rutgers looking to pass on 1st and 10 from way back in their end zone, and that one's going to be incomplete. On the far side, that one intended for Bo Melton.
Melton was maybe fishing for a flag, but that ball was uncatchable. Went over almost into the stands almost, went completely cleared the line, or the bench of Rutgers.
The pressure is on right now after the impressive coffin corner kick from Brad Robbins. 2nd and 10 from the 3-yard line. Rutgers going to run it here and met in the backfield. Dropped for a loss of 1.
3rd and 11 on the 2-yard line. This really limits your play options. You can't wait for a man to get open, because then you risk the safety. Can't really rush it either, because you're basically conceding the drive. So
Josh Ross coming in from that middle linebacker position untouched for the tackle for a loss. The ball now 3rd and 11 on the 2-yard line. Rutgers just looking to at least give themselves a little bit of leeway if they do have to punt.
That might just be the move, is to rush it, even if you don't expect the first down, just to give your punter some room.
2 running backs in the backfield. They are going to run it, and there's going to be a whistle. This play's blown dead, and looks like Michigan called timeout.
Unfortunate for Michigan. They would have easily gotten the stop there.
Must have been 12 guys or something. I don't know why he would call a timeout from the 2-yard line.
Coach Harbaugh just, I guess, didn't like the look, or like you said, maybe potentially had 12 men on the field.
From what I could tell, I didn't see anything like that, but maybe just didn't like the formation.
Back to that first down play, I really think, I mentioned this earlier, I think Vincent Gray is having a heck of a football game. He's moving around side to side, had that big tackle, and also that was great coverage. Despite it could have been PI or whatever, he's the best corner on this team. And Bo Melton, he's been largely quiet in this first half. He's their #1 wide receiver by a far margin for this football team, and he has been silenced. 0 catches, 0 yards for him. So you got to give Vincent Gray a lot of credit. Maybe the secondary might be a little weak, but he's certainly shown his capability of being a solid corner.
Yeah, Vincent Gray in conjunction with Dax Hill are 2 solid members of this maybe a bit underperforming secondary. We have seen what Rutgers has been able to do, but since that first drive, they really stepped up and put down the hammer and prevented any big gains on defense.
Yeah, aside from that, one about 20-yard reception from Aaron Crookshank, Vedral and the Rutgers passing team has been pretty quiet. Both teams in their respective huddles just trying to figure out the game plan here. Again, we mentioned kind of wondering whether Rutgers is trying to go for a first down here and try to continue this drive, move it down the field, or if they're going to try to play it safe and just run the ball here from their own 2-yard line to try to at least give their punter a little bit more room.
This will be brutal for Michigan's defense if they surrender a first down here, because before the timeout was called and the play was whistled dead, it looked like it would have just been a gain of 1 or 2 at most and potentially even a loss of a yard.
But, I mean, the ball this far deep, ball sitting on the 2-yard line, the nose of the ball just touching the 2-yard line. And especially after that last play from Josh Ross, there's definitely potential for a safety here with the ball pinned this deep.
Especially with Ross and Hutchinson, I would imagine both of them are blitzing. If not blitzing, at least stuffing up the middle and preventing the line from opening up.
Just an interesting note why this media timeout is so long and why the second quarter has been so long. Because the first quarter there was not a lot of timeouts, so I think they're just getting in these commercials right now, which is interesting. And this, as we mentioned, the quarter was so fast in the first. Now it feels like it's considerably slowed down a lot. So still 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, Michigan held the ball for 8 minutes on their first drive. Rutgers for about 7 on their second drive. So a lot of time eaten up. So here we go. It's 3rd and 11. Ball on the 2-yard line. 2 running backs in the backfield with Vedral. Tries a little bit of a hard count here. Now finally gets the snap. They're going to hand it off, and Michigan stops him right at the line.
It looked like he might have broken through, but Michigan did what was needed to bring him down. And I got to imagine the punt crew is coming on.
Yeah, here they come. Adam Korsak, the punter.
He is one of the elite spots of this special teams. I would not be surprised to see him playing in the league next season.
And that drive is all because of your punter. Your punter pinning him back on the 3 instead of the 20 completely changes Rutgers' offensive game plan, and that led to that really easy 3-and-out for the Michigan defense.
Yeah, beautiful punt. Last possession from Brad Robbins to pin this Rutgers offense deep in their own territory. Here's the punt. It's going to bounce over towards the sidelines, and that one not really what Rutgers wanted. We'll see where it's spotted. It's going to be spotted all the way up at what looks like the 39-yard line.
That's what it seems to be. Wow. That is unfortunate. I understand Rutgers not wanting to give a chance for a return, but you can't be doing that. You're giving them the ball automatically on practically in field goal range, even with Moody, especially with Moody, his powerful leg.
The ball spotted at the 40-yard line. So McNamara and the Michigan offense will go to work in a very comfortable position.
I'd love to see a shot right here from the 40-yard line. This is the kind of play where you say, let's take a shot to Cornelius Johnson here on the near side.
Give a jump start to the offensive momentum, too.
Johnson one-on-one, split way out wide. McNamara dropping back to pass. And he's got Johnson over the middle. And he's going to be down at the, what looks like, up inside the 20. It's going to be about the 16-yard line. Check that, 17. but a beautiful play there, connecting for 23 yards. Cade McNamara is locked in here, 7 for 8 for 105 yards thus far.
I said it before and I'll say it again. We got our own Tony Romo up in the booth. You called that one perfectly. You're like a 20-yard slant to Cornelius Johnson, and what do you know?
Just opens up the offense so much more. Now the Rutgers defense needs to be honest. Now you can run the football a little bit.
Here's the snap from McNamara. Handoff to Blake Corum. Following his blocker, spins off, and is wrapped up by a gang of Rutgers Scarlet Knights after the gain of 4. In comes Mike Sarin still.
And now they're averaging under 4 yards. Michigan is averaging under 4 yards a carry right now, which is so interesting. We've not seen this all year. And the Michigan offense, how did they adjust? They're throwing the football a little bit more, and I'd love them to go to throw the football a little bit deeper on that third down last drive. But I like what they're doing in terms of throwing it. Cade McNamara looking strong early.
McNamara sends a man in motion, hands it off to Blake Corum, who is stuffed right at the line. Looks like that might be a loss of 2. It'll be marked right at the line, however. It'll be 3rd and 7.
I wonder if it's time to maybe bring Haskins in. Corum has been so great this season, but it seems like Rutgers has the answer to his style of play. When Haskins is just such a strong power back, he's able to shed off some defenders and get more yardage.
3rd and 7 here. Michigan elects to go empty. Corum still on the field, split out wide here on the near side. McNamara alone in the backfield, scanning now. Gets the snap, drops back to pass. Looking towards the end zone. He's got a man, and it's broken up. That one in and out of the hands.
Trey Avery, incredible defensive stop. We saw him earlier today with a similar play broken up. He has been a highlight of this Rutgers secondary.
Pass intended for Mike Sarin still, so Coach Harbaugh will send out the field goal unit.
And Moody, this should be a chip shot for him.
Taking his time. Ball on the 14-yard line. Good snap, good hold, up, and good.
Over the net, too, just showing off his leg. Michigan has a real knack at getting kickers with just a cannon of a leg. I guess that's one of the benefits of being such a big brand name football program. You get those guys.
So it's a 2-score ball game. Michigan leads by 2 touchdowns. 17-3 is the score with 4 minutes left here in the first half.
And I'm not mad about that third down play call. Not at all. I thought that was a great throw from Cade McNamara, just a really good defensive play from Trey Avery. But those are the kind of things you need to do when your running game's not working. That's what you're going to do on third down and long. So maybe you adjust by throwing it a little bit more on first down, kind of giving yourself maybe a second and short, get that run game, easier situations to really run the football a little bit more. But we'll see what's going on here.
So Rutgers will get the ball back with 4 minutes left in the clock as we see a sign on the big screen that says, "We want Bama," with a block M.
Yeah, an announcement from the stands to return any footballs that went into the crowd. I think they'll be saying that a lot with Jake Moody as the place kicker. He last week he kicked it over the net, and he did it already once again today. He's so generous, he wants to give souvenirs.
You know, we talked about this a little bit last week. I kind of want to touch on it again. At a lot of schools, you know, the big name, the big-ticket players like the running backs, the quarterbacks, wide receivers, they are kind of, you know, household names for the most part around campus. But, you know, positions like the punter and the kicker don't really get, you know, the fame and glory that those skill players do. But, I mean, Jake Moody is so good and so consistent that he's kind of up there with those guys like Cade McNamara and Blake Corum. Like, you say Jake Moody's name around campus, and everyone kind of knows who you're talking about.
Absolutely. It's one of the perks of being at a school like Michigan that really values its special teams, too. But I don't want to discount Corum, too. He's the player, the big man on campus. If anyone lucky enough to have a class with him knows he's in their class. Anyone, even those without season tickets, even those who don't even know football, could probably name him. And I wonder how he will be utilized this second half. He has yet to get a touchdown so far today, a first for him this season.
He's got 51 total yards in this game, 21 carries for 40 yards. He also has 2 receptions for 11 yards. He's 2 receptions on 2 targets. But it'll be interesting to see coming into this game, some way too early, kind of early season Heisman talks. Blake Corum's been in that conversation. He's top 5 in the league top 5 in all college football right now in all-purpose yards. He's just been incredible in all facets of the game.
You mentioned this earlier as well, Matt, about how they have the lowest average yards they've had all season. And I think part of that is Rutgers' strong defensive line. But on the other hand, I also think previous games' averages were inflated by like 1 or 2 big plays where they broke through and found the end zone. So far, we've only seen like one of those, and that was a passing play, so it wasn't even a rushing play. But something to keep an eye on. With 4 minutes, 3 seconds, if Michigan plays their cards right, they might get one last possession this half.
If they can put together a stop like they have the past 2 drives, they'll definitely have time. The kickoff from Jake Moody out of the back of the end zone. So it'll be Rutgers ball on the 25-yard line. They've got 4 minutes and 3 seconds left to work. It'll be interesting to see what quarterback Noah Vedral and his offense do when they get out there.
And the test today, of course, I keep hitting on this point, but you got to look at this Rutgers defense. Adam, you just mentioned it. Fatu Kasi, Avery Young, Drew Singleton, Tyson Fogg. These guys are continuing to win on the line of scrimmage since that first drive. They're winning up front, and that's a testament to this Rutgers defense. They're very strong up front, and that's what Greg Schiano specializes in as the head coach. He's a very good defensive play caller. He's called a pretty good game in terms of stopping the run for Michigan.
Rutgers just getting the playoff there, and Michigan stops the run right at the line. Rutgers snapped that ball as the play clock was ticking from 1 to 0. Vedral got the snap off, but the Michigan front 5 meeting running back Isaiah Pacheco right in the backfield.
We have the potential for the last 3 plus minutes to take a while. Michigan has 2 timeouts. Rutgers has 3. I would imagine both coaches are looking to utilize that to potentially eke out an extra drive.
3 receivers split out on this near side. Now we have some motion. It's going to be Vedral alone in the backfield. Spins out of a sack. Aiden Hutchinson was all over, and they dish it off. And Michigan all over the little dump-off pass. It's going to be a gain of about 6, completed to number 21, Johnny Langan.
And 3 minutes and some change remaining. It's 3rd and 2. Rutgers has it on their own 33. I will keep an eye on whether they go for it and what type of play call they bring up here. That passing play, just Michigan was all over it. It had a resort to a dump-off pass, and it just did not work.
Quick correction, it was Braden McGregor applying the pressure there. Trips look out to the far side and the near side. Fake the screen. It's going to be a QB draw. There's a flag down on the field. Vedral's got the edge. And looks like he's just short or right at the first down marker, but we do have a flag.
They're going to say a first down, assuming the flag doesn't change that. But I have a feeling they might be bringing it back. Both teams seem to be moving in that direction.
Saw one referee potentially signal false start, and it is going to be a false start on the offense. So 3rd and 2, which was a pretty comfortable situation, is now going to be 3rd and 7, a much more difficult down to pick up.
I guess one pedal on that rose thorn is that it did milk some clock off. So Rutgers is able to potentially limit a drive by Michigan, but we'll have to see what happens here on 3rd and 7 with the ball on their own 28.
The line overloaded here on the near side, motioning out Vedral alone in the backfield, and he's pressured right away. Escapes the sack, but dishes it off, and Rutgers is going to pick up the first down. It's going to be a gain of about 14.
Electric defensive blitz by Dax Hill. He dove for the legs of the quarterback, missed by about a half a foot, and that would have been a huge, huge sack if he was able to bring him down.
Got to make that tackle in the backfield.
You do. He had a clear lane straight to the quarterback.
1st and 10 now, fresh set of downs as the game clock ticks under 2 minutes. Vedral's going to go to work on the 40-yard line, drops back to pass on play action. All the time in the world, dishes it off for the screen pass, little misdirection. And they've got another first down. The clock will stop. Rutgers showing some signs of life here late in the first half.
Potentially able to bring it within, I guess, possibly 7 points if a touchdown is scored. That would be huge for the Scarlet Knights team going into the locker room.
Rutgers not a very physical team up front and with their skill guys, but they are just so fast. They run a lot of things with a bunch of misdirection and can beat a lot of teams outside over to the edge. Dropping back to pass, going to fake the screen, and now they're going to throw it. Vedral hits his man, but Dax Hill all over it.
Krushishank was the receiver there, but Dax Hill found him instantly, and I believe that's going to be a loss of 3 or 4.
Looks like a loss of 3. It'll be 2nd and 13. Game clock ticking under a minute. The veteran defender, Dax Hill, not fooled at all by Rutgers' misdirection. Vedral taking his time, the Michigan defense discussing their game plan amongst themselves. Here's the snap. Vedral, all the time in the world, looking around, trying to escape. Michigan all over him, and that's going to be a tackle for a loss.
It'll be a gain of 1 or 2, but
still
3rd and long.
Still in the backfield.
Yeah.
And why was Rutgers substituting on those past couple plays? That allowed Michigan to substitute, and that just took down the clock. That didn't make any sense to me. You hit the ball with around 2 minutes to go on the 50-yard line. You're substituting? I'm going no huddle right there and moving the football a little bit because you had some success. That didn't make any sense to me from the Rutgers sideline.
Absolutely. I guess the one consideration is Rutgers does not want to give Michigan a shot to go deep at the end zone. But both teams have timeouts, so it seems like those are in the cards anyway. So that is certainly a puzzling play by Schiano.
You're down 17-3. I mean, you got to score. You can't just play conservatively and punt the football.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially at this point in the field, it's on barely in Michigan's territory. It's on the 44, so way, way, way too far for a kick. But I don't even think you should be kicking anyway. You need to close it against this Michigan team. They will eat you alive on the road in the second half if you don't play aggressively.
Tight trips look on this near side. Vedral rolling out, trying to throw on the run. Pressure applied and almost intercepted. Pressure applied from the linebacker, Kalel Muggins, and he rocked Vedral as he released that ball.
Yeah, Green almost had that interception. Michigan got a couple of picks last week, none yet this week. As I mentioned prior to the broadcast, both Michigan and Rutgers are the only 2 Power 5 teams to yet surrender a turnover.
You could see Green wanted that one back, laid on the ground for a second and slapped his hands on the ground. It's 4th and 10, and Rutgers is going to call timeout again.
And they were looking to go deep on that play. They had Bo Melton downfield, but a good job by the Michigan safety.
So I'm curious now, though. At 26 seconds remaining, does this leave maybe a crack open in the door for Michigan to punch one in?
If Rutgers does not convert here, I would say almost absolutely. The ball's currently on the 44-yard line. They're most likely going to try to pass here on 4th and 10 to pick up a first down. If Michigan gets the ball back, say this play takes 10, 15 seconds, I think you got one shot towards the end zone if you want.
But in this situation, if I'm Rutgers, I'm punting the football. You can't give Michigan the ball with maybe 20 seconds if you don't convert on a tough conversion here on 4th and 10. You got to punt the football, pin them back, and let's say go to half and get the football in the second half because they do get the football.
Rutgers has the offense out there.
I don't understand this. I don't care if they get it. You're giving Michigan a golden opportunity. This might be too aggressive for me, but we'll see.
The crowd is getting loud here in Ann Arbor. Vedral dropping back to pass. Finds a man, and it's broken up.
And that stops the clock, too. 22 seconds remaining. Michigan will get it with 56 yards to drive to the end zone. With Jake Moody's leg, they really only need 20 yards or so.
If Michigan could get this ball to about the 35-yard line, I'd say you're well within field goal range with the leg that Jake Moody has showed us throughout his career, and especially today.
Yeah, with the wind, I guess the wind has been blowing the other direction most of the game, but it's been pretty calm lately, so that might not be a factor anyway.
Michigan has 2 timeouts. Clock will stop on a first down. So they've got plenty of time here to put together a little bit of a drive to try and put some more points on the board before the half. McNamara has 2 men split out to his left side, 1 tight to his right, dropping back to pass on 1st and 10. Hits a man over the middle, and he's got room to work. Down inside the 20 to the 10, taken out of bounds at the 9-yard line. Hits Sarin still on a slant, and Michigan, another big play.
Where have we seen that all game? I guess it just takes desperation to finally break those cracks in the Rutgers defense. And now, field goal, penalty flag, however.
It'll be interesting to see what this flag is on. And it's going to be a roughing the passer flag.
So that'll move it 2.5 yards further, half the distance to the goal.
McNamara staying in there, taking the hit, and delivering a strike to Sarin Still.
And he's made some really, really good throws in this football game.
So
really good.
13 seconds. It's under review, too. I wonder what they will be looking at. But assuming this stands, I wonder if where he went out might be what they're taking a look.
Yeah, that's what they're going to review. I thought he was pushed out at about, just inside the 10-yard line. But currently the spots sit at the 2.
Yeah.
So that, a big difference, yeah.
But with that flag after the play, regardless, it'll bring it within the 5, whatever the review is. But with that, Michigan has 2 timeouts, 13 seconds, and the ball at least in the 5, potentially within the 2.
So
a touchdown is not out of the question, and
no.
I think a field goal, as long as you use the play clock correctly, is almost guaranteed.
Back to what you said, questioning that play call, Matt, on that Rutgers 4th and 10. If they do punt the ball there, and they put Michigan back at about the 25-yard line for a touchback, or even inside that if they execute the punt well, most likely you see Michigan just take a knee there because you've got 80, 85 yards to go and only 20 seconds to do it. Maybe you see them take one shot, try to move the ball downfield a little bit, but say Michigan throws one incompletion, I think they just take the knee there. And, Rutgers only has 1 timeout, so they're not going to ice them all. Yeah, Rutgers potentially shot themselves in the foot here.
You're completely correct, and it's just inconsistent play calling. First off, they substitute. They're on the 50-yard line. There's like 1:40 to go. They're substituting, taking their time, milking the play clock a little bit. Then with 26 seconds, when you have the chance to say, okay, let's just call it a half. You get the football. It's only a 2-touchdown game. Then you go for it. Now you give Michigan a golden opportunity where they can potentially now probably go up 3 scores. It's just inconsistent coaching from Greg Schiano and really doesn't make any sense.
We have the ruling.
Oh,
and that roughing the passer call is going to be targeting. And it looks like the player number 50 who hit Cade McNamara, Julius Turner, is going to be ejected.
This 6-year senior has been a key player on Rutgers' line. That is crucial. And not only will that targeting the killer, it's going to give Michigan the ball within 3 with 13 seconds and 2 timeouts. They have 2 shots. They could even run it in if needed.
2 timeouts here. Ball on the 2-yard line. McNamara sends a man in motion. Hands it off to Hassan Haskins. Dances around one defender. Pushing up.
Get down. Get down. Don't keep going. Stop the clock. That is not what they should be doing. Even if you get stopped, just go down. Don't try and push. That could have been dangerous. 9 seconds remaining. With 1 timeout left for Michigan.
Rutgers did a really nice job of just holding him up there. There were 5 Rutgers defenders on him. Nobody was trying to take him down. They were all just trying to hold him up to let the clock continue to run.
So what do you do here? Do you have to throw it, or do you have time to run it and then call the timeout?
I think you've got time to run it. I mean, the ball's on the 2-yard line, and you also have one more timeout.
I'm just concerned the run game hasn't been very successful of late. All the big plays of this second quarter has been throwing.
I do agree with that, but also Michigan has scored 2 touchdowns, and both of those touchdowns have been inside the 5-yard line, and both of those touchdowns have been handoffs to Hassan Haskins. You're in that exact same situation here again. I think you have to stick to your guns.
And no Julius Turner. He's their big guy in the middle, so I'd probably run the football. You got to trust your offensive line.
We got Haskins in the backfield, too, so imagine that's what they'll be doing.
McNamara sends a man in motion. Play action. And he's going to throw it to the end zone. Incomplete. That pass intended for Luke Schoonmaker way out to his left. Schoonmaker laid out for that one.
That was just an errant pass, and that's going to be a blemish on McNamara's highlight reel after this game. 5 seconds, though, and the clock stopped, and they still have that timeout.
Eric All and Luke
potentially have one
Schoonmaker
last shot.
were both open there in the end zone.
This, to me, is a one-on-one, really quick play because you only got 5 seconds if they decide to keep the offense on the field, which it looks like they are doing. But we've got a timeout.
And this will almost assuredly bring the kicker out with the timeout called, because now they are out, so even if they did a play, you couldn't kick it in. Although a touchdown would have been huge, you can't be too concerned getting a score on this final drive. I guess it's almost disappointing after the huge play to start this drive to just be stopped on the 2-yard line, especially when their rushing game is supposedly the best facet of the team this year.
Jake Moody is out on the field. And looks like Cade McNamara and the offense are coming out. So Michigan will elect to kick here with 5 seconds left on 3rd and 2.
Yeah, so presuming this goes in, which it almost certainly will, it's practically on PAT at this point. It'll be 20-3.
Rutgers defense holding strong, not allowing the touchdown after Michigan was given what my co-host Matt Levy called a golden opportunity. The snap and the kick is up and good, so Moody puts it through again.
Showing off that leg, it was still rising when it hit the net. Makes me wonder if Michigan's drive had gone differently, would he be attempting a 55, 60-yard kick?
20-yard field goal is good, so Michigan up 17 with just 2 seconds left here in the first half. Back to that string of offensive plays after the big completion to put Michigan inside the 5-yard line. Handoff to Hassan Haskins. Rutgers played it really well. They held him up and allowed a ton of time to run off the clock. Clock ticked down to just 9 seconds. And then we saw the miscue, the incomplete pass from Cade McNamara. He had both Eric All and Luke Schoonmaker open in the end zone. I mean, they ran the play-action fake to a T. Hassan Haskins applied a great block. It was just an incompletion. Like, that's really all there is to it.
But he was open. You would imagine that probably a better passing quarterback could have maybe got that touchdown completed.
Really the first miscue we've seen from McNamara here today. But we'll most likely see Jake Moody just squib it here. Won't be able to show off his leg with just 2 seconds left on the clock. Really want to allow a return of any kind. Back deep in the end zone is Aaron Cruikshank. Kick from Moody on the way is deep. And it's going to be out of the back of the end zone. So I guess Rutgers will have one play attempt if they want it to send everybody deep.
I'm curious to see if they just knee it or they go for it.
Yeah.
You mentioned their aggressiveness earlier, almost shot themselves in the foot. They luckily held it to only a field goal, but wonder if they'll be aggressive on this. 2 seconds left and ball on the 25.
One thing that we have seen throughout this game so far, though, is the speed of this Rutgers offense and their willingness to, go for trick plays. So you could potentially see a sort of hook and ladder situation here with 2 seconds left.
Yeah, for better or for worse, we saw that trick play on 4th down earlier.
They are going to go take a shot to the end zone. Vedral looking deep, and that one is picked off. And it looks like he's going to be out of bounds anyway, so won't matter. Rutgers still holds clean and not giving up any turnovers so far this season. So with that, we'll head to the half. Michigan up big here, 20-3. The Wolverines hold a 17-point lead.
For the first time all season, Michigan goes into halftime with more rushing than passing yards. Something to keep an eye on.
Flip that, more pass yards than rushing yards.
You know
156
yes.
passing yards in the first half from Cade McNamara. Only 77 rush yards, but also 2 touchdowns for Hassan Haskins.
They already have more passing yards than they did all of last week. So that's a good sign for Michigan's pass offense, but leave some question marks for their rush offense coming into the second half.
It'll be interesting to see the kind of game plan going into that second half. We have seen a lot less production out of the run game, but I kind of wonder whether that's due to the fact that Michigan just isn't calling more run plays and they're putting the ball into Cade McNamara's hands a lot more, because he does look really good. He's currently 8 for 11 with 156 yards, a 192 passing rating, so he's looked very good out there besides that one miscue down here in the end zone. Or whether it is just the fact that this Rutgers front defensive line has just looked really, really good.
I think it's a combination of both. I think they're really stacking and stopping this run game and saying Cade McNamara beat us. He has and he hasn't. He didn't have that on that one play. But so far, Michigan offense, they can just convert in the red zone, 2 field goals so far. But if they can convert this game, they're well in control, it feels like.
And with that, the marching band takes the field. With that, we will be taking a quick break. We'll be back on air as soon as the conclusion of the band. Stay tuned to YouTube. Thank you for joining us for this first half. Come back for this much closer second half than Michigan has been used to so far this season. you're ready, we could go live. I could take us around the Big Ten, some upsets. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
Yeah, cool.
Iowa and Minnesota.
All right, I'll bring us back in, and then once we actually get going, you can take over.
Yeah,
Hello and welcome back to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football live here from the Big House. Second half action. Give you a quick recap of the first half. Coming in to half number 2, Michigan is up 20-3 over the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. The last-minute field goal for Michigan put him up 3 scores.
Yep, and you summed it up well. Michigan has the lead, but still not out of contention like it was last week. And Michigan, speaking of Michigan and Rutgers, this is the first Big Ten game for either of the teams, but looking around the Big Ten, there has been a couple of upsets already today. One of the virtues of calling a 3:30 kickoff, you get some football ahead of you by the time you broadcast. We have Iowa, number 5 in the country, is currently losing to Colorado State 14-7 at halftime. Something to keep an eye on. I don't think that game is out of hand yet, but certainly interesting to see the number 5 team losing to an unranked out-of-conference opponent. Alternatively, Illinois fighting Illini are losing 6-3 at halftime to the Boilermakers. Anyone's game, super low scoring. One of the biggest upsets is the Minnesota Golden Gophers lost to Bowling Green 14-10. Notre Dame played Wisconsin in Chicago, and it was tied 10 apiece going in the final quarter. But Wisconsin blew it, and Notre Dame took the run-up score 41-13. So in that final fourth quarter, Notre Dame got 31 points, Wisconsin got 3. Really
it's disappointing for us. WCBN Sports will be traveling to Madison, Wisconsin next weekend to cover that game. Would have been nice to see a top 25 matchup.
Yeah, if Wisconsin would have hung on and only lost by like 3 or 10, they might be 24th, 25th. They're not going to be ranked after that beating in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I would be very surprised.
But also on the Big Ten, we got Northwestern. They beat Ohio pretty convincingly. Later today, Nebraska and Michigan State are facing off. We also got Ohio State versus Akron and Indiana versus Western Kentucky. All 3 of those should be good games. I have a feeling Michigan State's going to beat Nebraska. I have a feeling Ohio State's going to beat Akron, and Indiana should absolutely beat Western Kentucky.
I would have to agree with you there. Excited for next weekend, though. That should be a fun trip down to Madison, Wisconsin. Weekend after that, myself and Amir Bektis, if you recognize those names, we'll be traveling to Lincoln, Nebraska to cover that game, and we will be met by WCBN alumni Daniel Thompson and Lucas Vargas. So
both of them Nebraska natives now, so a bit of an opposition perspective, I suppose.
A little bit of a reunion, too. Shout out to Lucas. Lucas Vargas was longtime WCBN member, also worked as a manager for the women's basketball team here at the University of Michigan, is now the graduate assistant coach for the Creighton Blue Jays.
He's killing it there. Looking forward to the season coming up. Shout out to Daniel Thompson, too, joining us. Huge presence on the radio station. His time got cut short by coronavirus. I was actually in Indianapolis with him, prepared to cover the Big Ten tournament when everything unraveled and came apart. But should be a fun reunion in 2 weeks in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, very excited to see those guys. So with 2 minutes here left before the start of the second half, I kind of want to go around the horn here and talk about the big keys for both teams coming into this second half. I mean, I guess I'll start. For me, the key for Michigan here, coming into this second half is they kind of have to try and at least get the run game going at a little bit higher caliber than it is right now. We've seen this Rutgers front 5 kind of stop the Michigan run offense, which we haven't seen as a station all year long. The Michigan running backs, Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins, have been able to do pretty much whatever they want. But then on the flip side of that, Cade McNamara, the Michigan quarterback, having a great game so far. 8 for 11 for 156 yards. You have to keep the ball in his hands, I feel like, at the same time. You have to find that balance between getting your running backs going and keeping the ball in your younger quarterback's hands, keeping him confident, because he's looked very good so far. Passing it down the line to Adam, I kind of want to hear your thoughts here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me begin with the visiting team, the Scarlet Knights. Their key is going to continue to stop Michigan's run offense. They've been phenomenal so far. What's coming to mind is that goal line stand at the waning minutes of the second half, waning seconds even. They could keep that up. That would be huge. For Michigan's offense, they need to find a way to mix it up, but in the good times. They've gotten some big plays on some passing formations, but you see them going deep on 3rd and long, and at that point you're kind of digging yourself in a hole. So I'd be intrigued to see how they mix up the play calling this second half.
Yeah, for me, I think it's about, if they want to really get this run game going, I think it's passing on first down. I talked about this a little bit in the first half, but if you throw the football on first down, then you're looking at like maybe a 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, and that kind of opens up your run game, and it keeps this defense a little bit honest. No Julius Turner for the second half, which should help Michigan's running game. He's a big clog in the middle for Rutgers. He was ejected for targeting, and on the other side of the football, I think it's come down to inconsistent coaching. This game, to me, at 20-3, it could be a little closer right now if Rutgers doesn't do what they did at the end of the half. So, yes, Michigan looks good, but I think Rutgers is hanging in there, and we'll see what happens here in the second half as Michigan will kick it off. Jake Moody will send it deep and sitting back, and that will go into the end zone for a touchback as we head into the second half. Quarterback Noah Vedral, he's looking good so far. For this Rutgers offense. He is 9 for 16, 77 yards. His main target has been Aaron Cruikshank, who's 4 catches, 32 yards. The big storyline, Bo Melton, he is the #1 wide receiver by a long shot, as I've said. Throughout this game, he has been shut down, 0 catches for 0 yards. Also, his brother, on a side note, is out for this game due to a paintballing incident, which is very interesting.
I hate to speculate, but I'm really curious what went on there. I wonder if it's a euphemism for something, but we'll never know, or at least not now.
So Vedral in the shotgun. Pacheco to his left. And now we've got a flag. Let's check this.
Poor discipline to have a flag on the first play of the half. It's going to be a delay of game. Michigan's fans really showing why they call this a big house. Student section is starting to empty out a little bit. Kind of see this every game. Up by 17 on homecoming on a beautiful day like this. I'm not too surprised.
Throwback to that first play against Washington where the big house caused the delay of game on the first play of the game.
Here's Vedral. He'll look to run, and he's up inside the 19 for barely, maybe up to the 20, and that will bring up second down and about 14.
That Michigan front line is just absolutely dominant. That combination of Donovan Jeter and Aiden Hutchinson, rather, on both ends. I mean, that's just that's a tough matchup for anybody.
So 2nd and 15, 3 wide receivers on the far side, none on the inside, none on the near side. To the right is Pacheco. Here's Vedral. He'll look to throw. Pressure coming from Hutchinson on the right side, and that throw is out of bounds. Good defense on the right side.
That was a phenomenal play by Hutchinson. He saw blockage. He took 2 side steps, got in the gap, took 2 steps back the other way, and still got in there in time to mess up the throw on the quarterback. Really showing his promise as an NFL prospect.
Now 3rd down and long, exactly what this Michigan defense wants. Here up 20-3 here in the second half, early start. And here's Vedral. He'll be up on the line calling out signals.
Big test for the secondary.
Blitz comes. Here's Vedral. He's got space to work, but that ball is out. I think it was incomplete. Rutgers picked it up anyway, so they're going to call this a fumble, I think, on the field. Harbaugh's signaling incomplete. They're calling it a fumble as of now.
From up here, it looked like a... Okay, they're calling it incomplete.
Now it's incomplete.
Yeah.
Okay. They originally
he most certainly did not have 2 steps in control. He bobbled the ball. Even from up here, I could tell that.
And they're gonna whistle. There was miscommunication between the umpires. We had some kind of motioning, as we said, incomplete pass, some motioning fumble. Harbaugh wanted it ruled as an incomplete pass, and the ball had been moved up a yard. I mean, the difference between 4th and 15 and 4th and 14 isn't too much of a difference, especially with the punt unit already out there. So Adam Korsak takes a few just practice punts, little leg swings, just keeping himself loose there.
And a great stop from this Michigan defense. And coming out in the second half, you're up 20-3. Just shut them down right away. 3 and out. Easy work for this Michigan defense. You got to be impressed. And now you got a chance to really open this game up this game. As that punt is sent deep, A.J. Henning is back there, and he will go to the right, and he's got a lot of space. A.J. Henning inside the 45. He's inside the 40, flag down, so that's probably coming back at the 50. But a good return. A.J. Henning celebrating, but that's probably coming right back. But a good return nonetheless. Michigan will probably start from inside their own territory, unfortunately.
Back in week 1 against Western Michigan, we saw Ronnie Bell returning punts. That was actually, unfortunately, the play that he got hurt on, the injury that ended his season. Then in week 2 against Washington, we saw Michigan throw all sorts of guys back there in that punt return spot. They went through a number of people, and then last week against Northern Illinois, it looks like they found their guy in A.J. Henning, and he's already kind of solidifying himself in that role.
And curious to see what the call is. I'm sure it's a black in the black. Oh.
So no foul on the play. So Michigan's return will hold. They'll get the football at about, I think, the 35-yard line, maybe the 40. So a great return from A.J. Henning. No penalty on the play. And Michigan will start with golden field position, up 17 points.
They're going to put the ball on the 39, and that'll be 1st and 10 for Michigan. 13:51, only a minute and some change taken off the clock from that first drive from Rutgers.
So no TV timeout. Here we go. Cade McNamara in the pistol. Haskins behind him. They'll give it to him. Here is Haskins trying to find some room. Good defense again. That defensive line is holding strong. Only about a gain of 2 on the play. 2nd down and 8 from the 37.
You know, while it was only a gain of 2, that play, you break it down, it just shows you how strong Hassan Haskins is. Rutgers had his left leg wrapped up back on the line of scrimmage, and he was just dragging the man with his one leg, using that power to gain forward for a gain of 3.
So here's McNamara now in the shotgun. Haskins still into his right, all moving in motion on the near side. Now we got a flag, probably a false start.
Absolutely, and this sloppiness for both teams is going to be bad. A legal snap is what it was.
Never heard that call. A legal snap.
Going to be 2nd and 12 regardless, and that is unfortunate for Michigan, especially with how much the run game has struggled for them so far. I can't imagine they will be running on all 3 downs this drive.
And that's why I would have liked to pass on 1st down. Now you're set back 2nd and 12. It's sloppy, it's slow. Throw the football maybe to open up this defense a little bit. So here we go, 2nd down and 12. 13 minutes to go here in the 2nd. McNamara in the shotgun. Rutgers shows blitz, play action. McNamara looks on the left side, and Henning couldn't find it. Not a good throw at all. He was probably uncatchable. That's why there's no flag, as fans wanted one. So now a 3rd down and 12.
Pressure came off the edge. The Rutgers defender came through practically untouched. That one looked more like McNamara was just trying to waste it away, just threw it sort of in the general direction of A.J. Henning to avoid intentional grounding, but there was really nothing Cade McNamara could do there besides avoiding the sack.
So here's a 3rd down and long once again. Let's see if the protection can hold up, as this offensive line has not been nearly as dominant as those first 3 weeks. They're going to run it, and a very conservative play call. Very.
That is an interesting call that I'm sure Coach Harbaugh will have to answer to after the game. 3rd and 12, and you just rush it right up the gut. I know you're on your 40, but what do they do here? You have to punt it, and...
Yeah, they are going to punt. Brad Robbins is out there.
At least, even if you don't get a 1st down, you want to bring it within the 35 to potentially get the field goal team out. Now this is just a poor play call all around.
I think there's been a couple of questionable play calls from both sides here throughout the game. As that punt from Robbins inside the 10 at about the 9, and that is where Noah Vedral will take over as we have 12:01 to go here in this third quarter. Michigan still leads 20-3, and I want to harp on that point. I mean, the running and the passing game so far, it's looked at least worse here as the game has gone on, significantly worse.
Yeah, and that's concerning coming from that first couple of games. Michigan, they're different teams. What cuts it against Northern Illinois isn't going to cut it against Rutgers, and is especially not going to cut against Penn State or Indiana or Michigan State. So it is something to keep an eye on what adjustments they make now. That a golden opportunity to get points on the board to open out this third quarter, and they just were unable to do it.
And as we enter here, the late stages of the third, and if you're Rutgers at this point, it's 20-3. Your defense has done a really good job, as probably not expected because this Michigan offense has been rolling throughout these first 3 weeks. Do you maybe look at saying, okay, Vincent Gray's great on one side, but maybe let's take a shot on the other and kind of open up this game a little bit, because you're still in it here in the third quarter. It's 20-3. This game is not over yet. And I would consider doing that if I'm Rutgers. Take a shot one-on-one on that left side with Green. He struggled. They did it on the first drive. That's something you might want to look at if you're Rutgers at this point, because this is still a game.
Absolutely still a game. Michigan looking to extend the all-time record to a total of 7-1. Michigan's won the last 6. They dropped the first one way back in the day. Michigan also kind of looking to extend their record. They're currently 87-26-2 in Big Ten season openers, looking to make that 88-26. So definitely kind of a big momentum game for Michigan, especially since this is that Big Ten season opener, and just, rolling into this schedule coming up, which is a lot more difficult than the start of the season. They've got, obviously, Rutgers this week, Wisconsin next week, Nebraska after that. These next 2 road games, so much harder atmosphere to play in than the Big House that they've kind of been accustomed to so far to start this season.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting to see 4 straight games at home to open up. Guess it's not too surprising because Michigan usually has a big program, likes to really build on, have some tune-up games, I suppose. And with that, we get today's attendance to 106,000, almost 107, extending the streak of above 100,000 for quite a while.
That's just so many people. Like, I can't imagine that many people not in the Big House. Like, if just in an open area, I don't even know what that would look like.
I know. And the architecture, the Big House, it's interesting because it doesn't seem that big. The wide bowl, it's not like it has tons. It doesn't have tons of layers, and the fans aren't stacked on top of each other. But fun fact, Michigan Stadium, the Big House, was designed with expansion potential for up to 200,000 fans. I would be amazed to see that happen one day.
And here's the first play from scrimmage, as that is a handoff to Pacheco, and he's got nowhere to go, maybe a yard. That was Jeter in there with a couple other Michigan defensive backs for that stop after only about a gain of 1.
Yeah, the linebacker Mullings just came through with a head full of steam and was all over that. That combination between Jeter and Mullings. Josh Ross also in there on that one.
2nd and 9 from the 10. Vedral on the shotgun. He will hand it off on the right side. Pacheco trying to turn the corner, breaking a tackle. Maybe a late hit, no call. And that is up to the 15, maybe the 16. So a nice run from Pacheco, maybe using the edges a little bit more. Maybe something to take advantage of, as Michigan's been so strong in the interior. Now a 3rd down and 2.
That's been a really big strength for Rutgers in this game. It's just using their speed and their athleticism. I mean, all the way through all their skill positions, whether it's wideouts or running backs, even the quarterback, Noah Vedral, has some speed of his own.
So 3rd down and 2. Can this Michigan defense get off the field? Vedral looks to the sideline. Looks like man on coverage. One deep safety back. He's in the shotgun. Pitko to the right. They will do a little read option, give it to him, and Pacheco's got a hole. Up inside the 25, inside the 30, up to the 32-yard line. A big gain for Pacheco, and he's got another Rutgers first down.
And that is a huge first down for Rutgers. It looked like Michigan might be able to get him down for a loss or at least no gain, but Pacheco found the corner and got down the line for a huge gain.
That's been his strength all game. It's just kind of working side to side until he can find that gap to go north-south.
So first down and 10 from the 33. Vedral will roll out to his right, and look at Aiden Hutchinson. Big sack back at the 31, loss of 2.
He looked like Superman. He lunged out in the air, hands extended, and grabbed the leg and brought him down. I'm intrigued to see photos and videos of that after the game.
Yeah, Hutchinson just adding to his stats. Currently coming into this game second nationally with 1.5 sacks a game.
They're showing that replay on the big screen. I can't believe it.
Second and 12. Big hole here for the backup running back for Rutgers. That was not Aaron Young, but a nice solid run from Rutgers. That was Kyle Managi. Big run. He has 3 touchdowns, as many touchdowns, in fact, as Pacheco, but he hasn't gotten as much player time. Big hole there, and a big third down and short coming up for Rutgers.
Yeah, Monagai, a big asset to this Rutgers team, coming off the bench in situations like that, giving guys like Pacheco a rest.
So third down and short. In the shotgun is Pedro, and he will keep it. No, that was actually the
Johnny Langan.
Yeah, Johnny Langan. He's actually number 21. Confused me for a second. He's up to the 45, and another first down for the Scarlet Knights.
And that's a big play, 3rd and 1. Keeps the ball on your team, allows you to burn the clock, gives your defense some more rest, too.
Langan, a much more run-centered quarterback. We've seen him come in a few times in a sort of wildcat look.
Here is Vedral in the shotgun once again. Play action, looking deep on the left side. Nice throw and catch as Green makes the stop.
And Rutgers is rolling. They, with the exception of that one sack by Hutchinson, they are just keep moving the ball, chipping away at this Michigan defense. Already on the other side of midfield now.
So now a second down and short. This is what I would have loved Michigan to do on the other side, but 2nd and 2. Here is Pacheco. He is close to that first down. I think he's just a yard short at the 46. So now we'll bring up another 3rd down and short as Hutchinson now will check out.
Aiden Hutchinson on the tackle there. It's just incredible watching a guy like Aiden Hutchinson play. We've mentioned a few times that he has potential to be, a top 10 draft pick coming up. And just his athleticism. That ball was ran just inside the left tackle. Hutchinson coming from the complete opposite side of the field all the way across and just making that great play.
Well, here's Vedral in the gun. They'll give it once again to this backup running back. And Managi takes it up to about the 43. And that will move the chain. So another first down for the Scarlet Knights, and they continue to move the football. A little run game, a little pass game. And they're moving it right now.
Monagai, again, just showing off his versatility and his strength. He's going to check out quick, a little shaken up after that play. Najee Jones will check in for him.
And another throw on the left side, another catch from Washington, and another first down.
They're chipping away at this defense. 8 or 9 yards on every first down, excuse me.
Yeah, Vedral's just been bread and butter on those hitch routes towards the far sideline. He's been getting them pretty much whenever he wants.
So now here we go. Another first down, and can this Michigan defense hold? And the pistol is Vedral. He will play action. Look at the Michigan Wolverines come, but a good throw on the outside to Jones. He fights for a couple Michigan tacklers, and he gets it up to the 29, 28 possibly. Through a short gain.
There are
about
2
4,
flags.
Let's check the flag.
I wonder if it's going to be rushing the passer. Michigan's defensive blitzers got a couple of late hits.
Yeah, that's a roughing the passer. So that will move the football even farther up into Michigan's territory. Could be about, I think, the 15-yard line. So Rutgers continuing to move the football, and this is starting to get a little worrisome for this Michigan defense. This is only a 17-point game.
Yeah, absolutely.
That call, questionable. The roughing the passer call came in on Michigan defender Nikhai Hill-Green, and you could see in the replay he completely let up. His hands were back by his shoulders, and he was trying to lean back and slow himself down. But great job by Vedral there, just kind of selling it, flopping a little bit. That hit was not hard enough for a roughing the passer call, in my eyes.
Let's get Dean Blandino to back up your point. I think he would completely agree with you.
We need to get him on retainer. Use some of WCBN's budget on that.
1st and 10 from the 14. Vedral in the gun. He will play action, looking for the receiver, now looking to the end zone. Wide open is Washington. Touchdown, Rutgers. It is now down to 11.
Blown coverage there. I mean, he was about as wide open as you can get. Vedral was rushed on the throw and still had all the time in the world. Nikhai Hill-Green running after the receiver, but to no avail.
That play action's fooled everyone, including Nikhai Hill-Green.
Excuse me, that was Aaron Young's touchdown. So Michigan now only lead 20-9, probably 20-10 after this extra point.
Michigan needs to come back strong with possession. Can't let Rutgers make this close.
And now with this offense, for this Michigan offense now, you're up 10 points. Your running game has been non-existent. How do you figure out to move the football now? Because this is a game.
I wouldn't say they've been non-existent. They just haven't been producing it, kind of the caliber that they did through those first 3 weeks where they could just run over everybody and average 8.5 yards a carry. I mean, that first drive of the game, Michigan marched right down the field and scored.
I think since that first drive, they're averaging about 3.5 right now throughout the whole game. If you take away that first drive, you're looking at maybe 3 yards a carry. Maybe. Probably 2.5, 2. I'd have to run the numbers on that, but that's not going to do it. And I said it earlier, the first down run, you might need to turn away from that. I get you're winning by 10, but if there's 6:30 left in the third, a touchdown here or some type of score would kind of say, all right, let's take control of this game once again, because you were up 20-3 and had the ball at the 40-yard line, couldn't do anything there. Now Rutgers just drove down the field. I think you need to give this defense a break and start getting some first downs.
Absolutely, and they're showing some out-of-town scores. Iowa has tied this up against Central Colorado, or Colorado State, pardon me, and keep an eye on that for the rest of this game. But here in the Big House, this is not as far out as many Michigan fans would like. It's a 10-point game, still a quarter and a half remaining. And granted, Michigan is still in the preferred position, but this could change on a dime, especially if the momentum continues to be one-sided like it has been this half so far.
Yeah, and I think another question mark for me is that against a pretty good defensive line, not great, this Michigan offensive line has kind of not been as good as we've accustomed to seeing it. And once you face a team that has a very good defensive line like a Wisconsin, and what you were mentioning, Charlie, in Ohio State, that's going to be an issue. And they haven't been as dominant as they would have liked so far, except for that first drive, obviously. So that's going to be a key moving forward.
I just think Rutgers is doing a really nice job closing gaps. I mean, the line is still holding blocks. Like when McNamara's dropped back to pass, he's had all the time in the world that he wants. It's not like Rutgers is really up in their face besides, a missed block here and there. But the line has still looked good. I agree that they haven't looked as dominant as they have in weeks past.
I hope I don't get ahead of myself, but do you think Jay might be getting any snaps today, or is this too close for him to get some downs under center?
I would say Michigan would have to be up by at least 3 scores to even consider it, but I think Cade McNamara will probably be riding this one out. I mean, we've seen JJ staying loose on the sidelines, and every time out he's out there throwing routes, but I don't think we see him today.
So let's see what this Michigan offense can do. We're just about set to get ready and get back to action as Michigan leads 20-10 with 6:30 left here in the third quarter as they'll kick it deep. Blake Corum back to receive the kick. and it's still pretty raucous here in the big house. I don't know if there's 106,000 per se left, but still pretty packed as we are ready to go, and that will be a short kick, so they're avoiding the return, and that is caught by the defensive back, and he takes it up to about the 34. So interesting special teams decision, at least on my end. Why are you giving him a free 10 yards?
I mean, realistically, Blake Corum, at the rate he's been returning, he's been bringing the ball out to about the 30 anyway. If you try to kind of pull a fast one over them right there, it was an awkward-looking kick. The Rutgers place kicker, Valentino Ambrosio, came up like he was going to try for an onside kick and then swung his hips at the last second and kind of lofted it over towards the 20, 30-yard line.
So here we go. First down and 10 from the 34. McNamara in the shotgun. He takes a snap. Plenty of time. Looks on the right side. Got a man. It's Baldwin up for a gain of 8, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. Dylan Baldwin, easy 8-yard catch. Now you're looking at 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3 at the 41-yard line.
Exactly, and this is perfect position to try and tune up that run game, too. 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3. You're not asking for the world. Just need a couple of yards, and this is how you get the momentum building.
So in the pistol, Corum is back there. 2 wide receivers on the right side, 1 on the near side. McNamara takes a snap, hands it off. Corum pushing forward, good tackle by the Rutger linebacker, number 58, Tor, and that is just about a 2-yard gain. So now 3rd down and 1 from the 43.
Yeah, Tor amped up after that tackle because by the time he brought him down, Blake Corum was a few yards into the backfield, but that one good for about 2 yards, like you said, 3rd and 1.
And a really good tackle, like really just solid. And they're closing the gaps, as you said. Rutgers is really doing a nice job closing these gaps. Now on a 3rd and 1, do you trust this offensive line and running game to get this 1 yard? It's going to be interesting to see.
With Hassan Haskins, I would almost guarantee.
Haskins, and I think, did he get there is the question. I don't think he got there.
They're going to say gain of none. No gain.
So decision time for Jim Harbaugh.
It's going to be 4th and about a foot or two, under a yard. But
so
it's tough because up by 10, you don't want to be too aggressive, but you don't want to not be aggressive at all. And looks like they'll keep the offense on and no one in the backfield, too.
Empty formation here on this 4th down and 1. When would you see this from Michigan in this run game? Empty formation, 4 wide receivers out. McNamara up on the line trying to snap it. I think he's just going to try to draw him off.
I wonder if they're going to call a timeout.
Let's see what
they will. Just take the delay a game even, and they're going to punt it. That is a cowardly move by the Michigan offense.
I don't know so much if it's cowardly. I mean, at 4th and 1 from that field position, the smart play is to punt it. But, I mean, what's the difference between punting the ball from, the 33-yard line or punting the ball from the 38-yard line? At least try to draw the defense off sides.
But just to reiterate, it was 2nd and 3 from the 41. And they ran it twice, and they didn't get it. When would you expect that? It's crazy to me.
That is a terrible, terrible sign for Michigan going forward. Their run game was so strong, and I mentioned this before the game. My main question is this team legit, or is this just a function of their opponents? And as of right now, I'm leaning toward the latter, unfortunately.
So now they'll punt it away, and now we've got a whistle.
It's going to be a false start on the offense, I believe. So moving them back even further on Eric All.
That is the starting tight end. So now 4th and 11. Now you're at the 33, and that could give Rutgers a little bit of breathing room. And now you can't pin them. It's going to be from the 33. You'll probably kick it down to the 20, 25.
So it went from 4th and a foot to now 4th and 11 as Michigan continues to prepare to punt.
And this just feels scary to me. You're up 10. Yeah, you're up 2 scores, but it just feels like the energy is lost from this Michigan sideline, this Michigan offense. It looks so good on the first drive. So now you got to rely on your defense that just gave up a touchdown on that last drive. A big drive coming up for this defense. And then this Rutgers offense with Noah Vedral as Robbins will send it deep. Not a great punt at all. I mean, like pretty much a shank Let's see where they mark this.
It looks like it's to be on the 34 or 35-yard line for Rutgers, but certainly some pretty good field position.
Now Rutgers feels like it has a gift. Down 10, you get the football after a shank kick from Robbins. This feels like a recipe for disaster right now for the Wolverines. Not looking the same as they did on that first drive, and even in the first half. So we'll see. And for this defense, what do you think, guys, are the keys to really getting this thing turned around, really getting this up and giving the ball right back to your offense?
Got to have pressure on the quarterback, but you can't lit up. Like what we're seeing is they send 2 or 3 people to blitz, but then it leaves gaps in the secondary and the defense. And they can't be doing that. If you blitz, you got to make sure you go for the head, to quote Avengers Infinity War, I suppose. But they either blitz and take them down, or just play man-to-man and let them make the mistakes. You can't be opening gaps for the opponents.
Michigan's man-to-man coverage on the corners hasn't been great throughout this entire game, but last drive especially, it was lackluster to say the least. I mean, Vedral had everything he wanted. He threw probably 5 or 6 hitch routes on that far sideline for a gain of about 6 or 7 every time. And, I mean, Rutgers just marched all the way down the field. It was pretty much a free 7 or 8 yards every time he wanted.
Yeah, and that kind of opened up the running game, it felt like, on the edges. So the edges have been the issue. The interior has been great for the Wolverine defense, but the edges and then those one-on-one hitch routes you were talking about, Charlie, that's been an issue, and it was an issue on that last drive. So Vedral in a rhythm, he gets the football right back here as we head into this end of the third quarter, 3:48 to go, and they're just having success. And it's funny because Rutgers' best offensive player, number 18, Bo Melton, 0 catches, 0 yards, and they're still moving the football.
Absolutely. They're down by 10, so Michigan is still in the driver's seat. But this isn't the position you want to be in, especially with a quarter and 3 minutes remaining and Rutgers with the ball.
As Mr. Brightside is being played at the stadium, always a great moment here in the big house.
Goosebumps every time.
Student section is about half full now. Seems like people are spending this beautiful homecoming day maybe back at home or back at some post-game tailgates rather than in the stadium. Unfortunately for them, it's looking like this could be a close one.
Yeah, it hasn't been the most entertaining game, but now it could get a little bit more interesting as we head in the third. Rutgers, again, has the football. A summary so far. Michigan was up 20-3 here in this third quarter. Then they had the ball at the 40-yard line after a 3-and-out from Rutgers. They didn't get any points there, and Rutgers drove right down the field. And then Michigan had another 3-and-out after 2 runs within a 2nd and 3, both stopped by the Rutgers defense, which is a little bit surprising. So now it's 20-10 Michigan. Rutgers football after a shank from Robbins, or not his best kick. They have the football at the 35-yard line as their offense trots right back onto the field. And this is where the game could turn, a big momentum drive coming.
Back to what you said, Adam, even if from what our attendance was today, 16,000 people could leave the stadium and there'd still be 90,000 fans here. I mean, that's just the effect of the big house.
So in the shotgun, Vedral, screenplay outside. That is Bo Melton's first catch, and he's up inside the 40 to the 42.5-yard line, gain of about 7.
Once again, another broadcaster's jinx. You mentioned how he did not have any offensive performance, and then first play after saying that, he gets a gain of 8.
Aaron Cruikshank might have gotten away with a hold there on the outside.
I did see that too. I was going to mention that. Good play right on the line of what's acceptable.
2nd and 3 from the 42. Rutgers moves forward and for 3 and another first down up to the 45, maybe 46. And that's been the difference. Michigan had a 2nd and 3 on that side, on their offensive possession. Couldn't get the first down running it. Rutgers can. After a second and 3 run, they have a first down at the 46. Stop made by Smith.
Big House getting loud here, trying to support their defense as much as they can on 1st and 10.
In the shotgun is Vedral. Crowd is into it, as Charlie mentioned. Here we go. First down and 10. They hand the ball off. Nope, they keep it. Here's Vedra on the outside. He'll get to the 50. Good tackle from Gray, pushing him out of bounds, maybe the 49. But nonetheless, another nice first down gain up to about the 49-50. I think they're going to spot him at the 49.
We've talked about it a bunch throughout this broadcast. Rutgers really using their speed and athleticism to their advantage. Obviously, overall, man for man, probably not a more athletic team than Michigan, but they're trying to stay away from that middle, that tough middle of guys like Donovan Jeter and Aiden Hutchinson and try to get the edge as much as they can.
So 2nd and 7 from the 49. Vedra on the shotgun again. 2 receivers on the near side, none on the far side. Takes the snap, back to throw. Looks wide open is number 18 Melton once again, and he's up inside the 46 for another Rutgers first down.
Again, there's that corner play that we talked about. Michigan's just been getting
I don't
caught.
think it's quite a first down. Interesting play. He kind of he could have had the first down, but he tried to do like an end around and make a guy break his ankles, and it did not work it, and that's going to be 3rd and 1.
Yeah, I assumed it was a first down. It actually isn't, so good call, Adam. 3rd down and 1 from the 45. Can the Michigan defense get a big stop? You assume it could be a 2-down play. And now a little bit of a weird formation coming as Vedra moving around. They could be a snap. They did this earlier in the game.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Pacheco try to take the outside here.
Yeah. Nope, he keeps it inside, and Vedra opening up that inside with those outside runs. He's up to the 40 for another first down. So good adjustments from this Rutgers offense. They knew they can get the edge. Michigan defense kind of opened up a little bit. Then you could sneak it up the middle for a first down up to the 40.
That's just a nice read there from Vidral trying to take that middle.
Tackle made by Jeter.
This is concerning for Michigan fans. Rutgers continues to move down the field. 1 minute left, 16 minutes in this game. Rutgers has all the momentum and only down by 10.
So now from the 40, shotgun for Vedra. They'll motion a man over. And play action, looking over the middle of the field. They got a man once again. And another first down. Tackled made by Green. But another first down for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And they're moving the football inside the 25 to the 24.
That ball fit in a tight window. That one went right past the shoulder of Nikai Hill-Green. If he turned his body a little bit more, he might have been able to pick that off.
Going to be an official's timeout for an injured player. A Scarlet Knight is down on the 30-yard line. Can't quite make out which number it is.
It's Shaheem Jones, the guy who just had the catch, so he is down. So this Michigan defense giving up a lot of yards. They could be a little tired, and they're giving up these plays. And I think Rutgers is just doing a really nice job of saying, okay, we're going to get the edge. Okay, you're going to play defense on the edge. They're kind of countering what Michigan is countering. So really good job from this Rutgers offensive staff. They're really calling some nice plays here on the last 2 drives, and they've cut the lead now at 10, now inside the 25. And Michigan, you got to figure out a way to maybe say, okay, you're going to do that, but we got to stick to our own game, stick to our defense, because they're countering everything Michigan's doing.
Yeah, Michigan might need to adjust kind of their defensive playbook here. I mean, or just what they're doing on the corners. They've been dropping back into a sort of zone coverage a lot, trying to prevent the deep ball, trying to prevent the big play. But then they've just been getting burned underneath play after play after play, those 6, 7, 8-yard hitch routes that we mentioned earlier.
First down and 10 from the 24. Pistol now in the shotgun for Vedral. He's his backup running back and looks to the right side. Got Bo Melton again, and that feels like that hitch route that you were talking about, Charlie. Another easy gain of about 6, 7 yards.
They had 2 receivers split out on this near side. Bo Melton on the outside who made the catch there. They had another on the inside, and coverage was there. It was a little tighter than usual. Jamon Green able to come up and make the play for a gain of only 8 instead of a first down. So it would be 2nd and 2 here from the 16.
And Jamon Green has been attacked here in this drive. And they'll give it to their running back, their backup once again, Magagi up to the 15. So that will give Rutgers another first down.
Monagai almost lost the ball there. He kind of fumbled with it a little bit. You saw him get spun around. His right shoulder got pulled down, and he kind of bobbled it in his hands a little bit, just able to hold on. So we're going to head to the 4th quarter. Rutgers will have the ball on the 11-yard line, still only down 10.
So excuse my pronunciation, it was Monagai. So at the end of the 3rd quarter, Michigan still leading 20-10, but Rutgers has all the momentum. They scored a touchdown on the last drive. Now they're inside the 15. here in the red zone against this Michigan defense that, frankly, looks really tired as this Michigan offense has been stymied by this Rutgers D.
I don't even know so much if it's Michigan looks tired. It's literally Rutgers is marching right down the field, just beating Michigan on the same 2 plays. It's either a hitch to the outside because the defensive backs are kind of playing off the ball, trying not to get burned deep, and Rutgers is just dumping it off for 5-6 yards of play, or they're running it up the middle and getting maybe 2 or 3 yards of carry. It's pretty much just kind of that balance back and forth, back and forth. Rutgers is doing a lot of play action, just trying to keep Michigan honest. But it's been effective. They've just been marching right down the field.
And why is Michigan playing so soft? That's the other question. They're playing very soft. Charlie, you mentioned Rutgers is getting free 7-8 yard gains that could be easily taken away if Michigan used to press coverage. Maybe they don't trust their corners as much. I don't know. But maybe you got to do that as Michigan does their usual third quarter thing as the student section is going crazy right now.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Michigan decides to play these corners and the wideouts as this game progresses. Cade McNamara playing a little bit of catch, trying to keep loose. The sun's starting to not so much set, but it has moved behind our back, so there's a big shadow cast across the entire field. So while the fans in the stands in the upper levels right across from us and those in the box right across from us are still sitting in the sun, the entire field and all the fans on this side of the stadium are now in the shade.
Yeah, and I think right now, maybe we could see a turnover. I think that would just really flip the momentum because it feels like a slow bleed for the Michigan football team. Frankly, at both sides of the football here in this third quarter, it was since that first drive after Michigan stopped Rutgers on that first drive. Rutgers found something, and now they're really just moving the football. Maybe this third quarter, stopping the momentum a little bit, could get something rolling. But it's closer than we definitely thought heading in. Michigan was 20.5-point favorites. It's only a 10-point game. Could possibly be closer in the next 2 minutes if Rutgers somehow punches it in, either a touchdown or a field goal. So that's something to watch for. Not a great performance. The first time Michigan all season kind of looks vulnerable.
Rutgers might make me eat my words here, but if there were a turnover on this drive and Rutgers wasn't able to score, I would say this game is about as good as over. I mean, Rutgers has all of the momentum on their side right now. All the pressure is on Michigan, but if they turn the ball over here, all of that goes away. All the momentum that they build up since the start of the second half, all of that just goes down the drain.
And I completely agree with you. And another thing for this Michigan team, if you're Jim Harbaugh in this situation, momentum is all against you. You're getting killed on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Is there a way that this team can rally together? Let's say Rutgers scores. Can Cade McNamara rally this team with no run game to really just get a score, get this momentum right back on your side and say, you know what, we didn't play our best football, but we got the victory, we're moving on, we're surviving, and we're advancing, because that's what this college football season comes down to.
That's just Big Ten football in general. Survive and advance. Everybody, for the most part, is going to be very competitive. Every game is going to be difficult, and you're not going to be able to blow teams out like we saw the first 3 weeks against Western Michigan and Washington and Northern Illinois. This schedule coming up is brutal. We've got Wisconsin on the road, Nebraska on the road. We play Northwestern, then we're back road Michigan is back on the road against Michigan State. It's just a very tough schedule keeping up, and you're going to need all the momentum from a win in this game to carry you through those.
This crowd is now erupted. Here we go. First down as Vedral will keep it, and a good tackle by number 41 of Michigan. He got in there fast for the Wolverines. It was a gain of about a couple, and a second down and 6, gain of 4.
Michigan was all over both ends of that read option. The running back, Pacheco, was met right in the backfield, hit hard, and then Nikai Hill-Green was all over Vedral when he tried to pull it. He did get that gain of 3, but that was mostly just due to his long arms reaching out there.
So good tackle by Hill-Green. Here's second down and about 6. They'll play action. Vedral looking on the right side. That pass is tipped and almost picked. A great defensive play by Daxon Hill. Pass was intended for Pacheco. And now a third down and 6.
Brad Hawkins almost got there. Dax Hill broke that up. It bounced off his shoulder and went way up in the air. Brad Hawkins, if he laid out, might have had potential to get there, but That ball falls harmlessly to the turf. It'll be 3rd and 6. This is a big down here for Rutgers.
So 3rd down and 6 from the 7. Hutchinson calling out signals. Vedral up on the line. 1 receiver on the near side, 2 on the far side. Michigan looks to be in man. And now we got a whistle. I think it could be a timeout from the Rutgers side. Yep. So a timeout called by Rutgers. Rutgers had man-on-man with Green. That's a matchup they've been exploiting all night, especially in that 3rd quarter. Maybe you could have gone to that side. Nonetheless, it's a timeout for Rutgers. So a big 3rd down, as Charlie, you mentioned. What do you think Rutgers should do, and what do you think Michigan counters with?
I mean, I feel like they have to go back to the pass. You mentioned they've just been kind of picking on Jamon Green. And the run game, at least inside the tackles, hasn't been crazy successful, especially on 3rd and 6. I feel like you have to go to the air here. Worst case scenario, it's an incompletion, pretty much same as getting stuffed at the line if you try to run. So you kick the extra point, or you kick the field goal rather. You take your points and make it a 1-score ball game. But if you go to the air here, you have potential. I mean, pretty much any play. Here, it's either a touchdown or a 4th down. You're not going to get whatever it is. It's currently 3rd and 6. It's not technically 3rd and goal yet. Inside the 1-yard line would be a 1st down. So it's either a 1st down, or it's either rather a touchdown or 4th down here, I think.
And I think you got to trust your quarterback, Vedral. They've had no turnovers all year. Trust your quarterback in this situation. You got man-on-man coverage. Green on this near side. Watch out for that here. Green on this near side, but they will play action. Vedral looking towards the air. Green all over him. That could be a PI. No call, and that will fall incomplete. I thought he was tugging his jersey a little bit. No call against Michigan.
That might be uncatchable. That ball was 10 feet over the back of the end zone.
But you look at a holding penalty possibly. No call, so Michigan gets the stop. But nonetheless, that was close.
That is a huge swing in this momentum. I mean, most likely we'll see Rutgers put some more points on the board here with a good place kicker in Valentino Ambrosio. But the difference between a 3 points on this drive and a touchdown is, I mean, astronomical.
But it is that point of the game. They're still in it. It's assuming this is made, it'll be a 1-score game.
So the 24-yard field goal is good from the Rutgers place kicker.
Michigan's going to get the ball back on offense next. They have been silenced on offense this half. They have 2 drives for 0 first downs, -1 yard actually combined between the 2 of those. So they need to change something quick. It's only a 7-point game with 14 minutes remaining against Rutgers.
So now Michigan 20-13. So it's a 1-score game here in the 4th quarter. Early part of the 4th quarter, a touchdown would be huge. Any type of score right now would be huge. As Craig Schiano is yelling on the sideline to the referee. I think he was a little bit mad about that, as Michigan leading 20-13 here early 4th quarter. They'll get the football.
Looking back at that last few plays inside the 10-yard line, I just want to highlight Brad Dawkins. He didn't really do anything that's on the board that will get him on the stat sheet, but he was all over the place. Pretty much any ball that went up in the air, he was there. He's playing for Pride right now. Brad Dawkins, a New Jersey native, so this is pretty much, a rivalry game for him.
Yeah, he's been terrific all day, the strong safety for the Wolverines. As Ambrosio will send it deep. Michigan, 20-13, 14:09 to go. Big offensive drive coming up. It's been closer than people expected, as Michigan, again, was 20.5-point favorites. Here is the return from Blake Corum. He slips and only gets to about the 21, 22-yard line for the Wolverines. So that's where Cade McNamara will get his offense rolling. Big drive for him and big drive for this Wolverines offense. Can he cement himself with the run game? Not as great as we've seen, only averaging about 3 yards a carry, and they were upended on that last drive. What can this number 12 do? He had that missed throw at the end of the first half that cost them 4 points. So can he come up clutch? Empty set. Corum will come in now to bring 1 running back, 3 wide receivers out wide with 1 tight end. McNamara looks. He's got a man. A low throw from Cade McNamara looking for Mike Sanders still. And that was just a low throw and a pretty bad one.
Yeah, that ball definitely catchable, but as you said, low. He couldn't really, if he did catch it, he would have just had to fall right down. But, I mean, that would have been a gain of about 7 or 8. But I just want to quick take a look at these Rutgers linebackers. They've been really good at defending the run, coming up and plugging gaps, but they've been exposed on the pass game. Michigan's been able to get whatever they want thrown over the middle.
I think you got to keep throwing the football. So here we go. McNamara looking, looks over the middle, and it's off the hands of Eric All. He had the football, and he dropped it, maybe just a little out of reach, and now a 3rd down and 10 for the Wolverines offense.
That's 2 plays back-to-back where balls were borderline catchable. That one, not as much as that first one. But, I mean, if you're Michigan, you're kind of kicking yourself because you had 2 plays that could have went for first downs. But also on the other side, Rutgers just looks lost this defensive possession.
3rd down and 10 from the 21. Can Michigan convert a 3rd and long?
Corum in the backfield, keeping an eye on whether they'll go for it or not. We've seen some 3rd and longs earlier in the game that have worked.
So here we go. McNamara back to throw. Pressure comes. He rolls out. He's looking. He will look to run, and he will be tackled on the right side. Got to about the 27. Good tackle from the Rutgers defense. A couple of tacklers in there. Number 58, of course, Tor. He's been all over the field for the Scarlet Knights, and that will result in another 3 and out. And now the Rutgers offense, they've got a chance to tie it.
I don't like that spot. I mean, he was definitely short, but McNamara reached out. I mean, from at least up here, it looked like he reached that ball out to about the 29, so it would have been 4th and 2 as opposed to 4th and 3, 4th and 4, whatever it is. So don't know if it would have made a difference because Michigan does have the punt unit out there, but just don't like that spot.
So Michigan will punt Robbins again. He's been on the field a lot here in the second half. He'll send it deep. Much better punt here, and it's to about the 30, and fair caught by Avery Young.
Great punt there, just to pin Rutgers back at the 30-yard line. Unfortunately for Michigan, they do call fair catch. If that ball had hit the ground and rolled, we might have had another coffin corner kind of situation. But Michigan, while they should be frustrated, they can be frustrated with that 3 and out. I mean, as I said, Rutgers just got exposed on that last drive. Michigan really just beat themselves on that drive. McNamara with the incompletions, but pretty much every other time on that drive, you know, he threw on first down, threw on second down, both were incomplete, and then he obviously ran on 3rd down, as we mentioned. But both plays could have went for first downs. And, I mean, the Rutgers linebackers just had no idea what to do when Michigan was running over the or throwing over the middle.
Yeah, in this pass game, you're completely right. Those should have been 2 completions. And the fact that it wasn't put them in a 3rd and long, and then they were kind of screwed there because Rutgers played ultra-conservative. But now, after 3 passes on that drive, couldn't convert. This offense is really stymied. And now with 13-10 to go, plenty of time for Rutgers to drive right down the field and really put a lot of pressure on the Wolverines. It's going to come down to a defense now. They've been on the field a lot here in the second half. A lot. This is the most they've been on the field in long, because with several 3 and outs from the Wolverine offense. So it's a testament to see how they play. Can they force a turnover? Can they do something? Because that was a big stop, but nonetheless, they're right back on the field, and that's concerning to me.
The Michigan defense looked really good at the start of this game, and then for a while we saw those defensive backs kind of start to get exposed. Noah Vidral's had a very good game so far, 17 for 28 for 151 yards and a touchdown. That touchdown, his receiver was wide open, Aaron Young. But on that last goal line stand inside the 10-yard line, I mean, the Michigan defense looked like a completely different team than they have the rest of the game. The defensive backs were locked in. The line was providing pressure. I mean, given the line has been providing pressure all game, Aiden Hutchinson has been all over the place. But the defensive backs looked locked in, and it looked like a kind of switch had flipped in their head, like, oh, it's go time.
Yeah, and maybe we see that right now with this Michigan defense saying, you know what? We got to win this football game. Our offense is not doing what they want. They'll figure it out. Let's go win this football game, maybe get a turnover or 2, and really just put this game away. And it's about surviving and advancing. Yes, you're up 20-13. We're going to see what happens here, but can this Michigan defense really stop those hitch routes that they've been seeing 6 or 7 yards to Melton on the outside? And can they stop this little read option that's been working with Vejal and Pacheco here in the second half?
The Michigan offense is so close to getting everything to click, and I think when that happens, they're going to be able to just march right down the field and score at will.
I totally agree. And for the time being, the offense not where it wants to be, so let's rely on this defense. That's got to be Coach Harbaugh's message right now. And a big quarter, really a big quarter coming up for the new defensive coordinator, the linebacker coach from the Baltimore Ravens, McDonald. He's got to really call some good plays. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does. So 1st down and 10 from the 30-yard line. They'll run it right here and breaking a tackle, and there he goes. Pacheco inside the 50 up to the 45, so not the start you want. Inside the 45 to the 44. Pacheco with his biggest run of the day and a 1st down for the Scarlet Knights.
Couple missed tackles.
Yeah,
there.
3 or 4 broken tackles, and Michigan's lucky he's not in the end zone right now.
I want to just quick highlight, that's a 26-yard run. Aiden Hutchinson made that tackle after applying pressure in the backfield.
So Vedral keeps it himself, and another big gainer of about 8 up to maybe the 35-36. But another 1st down yards. They're coming at a premium right now for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. They're getting whatever they want. 8 yards, 10 yards, 7 yards. It's been pretty easy on 1st down. So here's a 2nd down and about 1. They'll keep it. They'll give it off to Pacheco, and he's up to the 30 for a Scarlet Knight 1st down once again.
The thing this Rutgers offense has on Michigan right now is speed. For Michigan right now, it's just got to be about containment, keeping the running backs and keeping the quarterback inside the tackles, because that's where most of your strength is right now. Guys like Donovan Jeter and Aiden Hutchinson, they play best inside the tackles.
So from the 30, Pacheco to the right of Vedral. He's barking out singles. He'll now move to the left. 2 receivers on the far side, none on the near side. Option type of play, and Pacheco is off inside the 20, inside the 15, up to the 12-yard line. Big run for Pacheco, his 2nd big run of the game. Tackled outside by number 2 of this Michigan defense, and a big gainer once again for the Scarlet Knights.
Brad Hawkins on the tackle there. I mean, there it is again, the speed of Rutgers. They find a gap and they can just explode.
Rutgers is now 11 yards from tying this up, and their offense is clicking more than we've seen all game.
Now 1st down and 10 from about the 11. Jones to the right. The backup, they'll give it to him, and Jones is off inside the 6. So a nice run from Jones, tackled by Moten, number 6, and a gain of 5.
Jamon Green and Donovan Jeter check back in.
Maybe trying to go a little bit bigger as a couple defensive backs come off the field. So now 2nd down and 6. That's the lowest 1st down yardage of this drive. Vedral in the gun. Jones to the right. And now that's going to be a false start. Yeah, it's going to be a false start. 51, the center, moved a little bit.
Center and the right guard not really on the same page as the rest of the team.
Rainey and Crimmin.
Saw the guards start to pull, and that hurts if you're Rutgers.
Yeah,
that brings you from 2nd and 5 on the 7-yard line to now 2nd and 11 on the 12. Very similar situation to what we saw last drive, where they weren't able to put the ball in the end zone and had to settle for a field goal.
That could be the break the Michigan defense needed. Keep him out of the end zone.
So 2nd and 11 from the 12-yard line. Pacheco right back in. 2 wide receivers. They'll give it to Pacheco. He is stuffed by a wall of Michigan defenders. Leading the pack was number 25.
This drive seems to be an exact copy-paste of last drive. Rutgers offense has no trouble moving it down the field. Gets within disadvantage, though, they are putting themselves at.
Yeah, Rutgers just looks confused up there at the line. I don't know if they couldn't hear the play call coming in from Vedral because of, the atmosphere here in the big house, or whether it was just miscommunication all the way through. But as you mentioned, Adam, they now just have 1 timeout left, and there's just under 10 minutes left to play here in the 4th quarter. This is a tight ball game, and if it does go down to the line like that, and Rutgers needs to put together an offensive possession near the end of the game, like these 2 plays down here back-to-back like this, that could be the difference in this ball game.
And with 7 to go, 3rd down and 10 from the 11. If you're just joining us, Michigan was up 20-3 at half. They failed to score a single point here in the second half, as Rutgers have scored 10 unanswered, and they've been moving the football up and down the field the last 3 drives. They've had a touchdown field goal, and now they're inside the 15 at the 11-yard line. Michigan, can they get another big stop from this defense? Yes, Rutgers kicks a field goal, but it's still a one-score game, but they still have the lead in that scenario. And this offense, as Charlie mentioned earlier, they're on the brink. It feels like they're a couple of inches away from really driving the ball up and down the field. So that'll be interesting to see as we go forward. And I wanted to ask you guys quickly, what are the keys right now on this 3rd down and 11? What do you expect from this Michigan defense?
You got to get pressure. I can't imagine they're going to be running it. But that means your defense needs to put pressure on the quarterback so he doesn't have all day, but also don't let any gaps open up. I know that's easier said than done, but that would be my key.
Yeah, you got to lock up on the outside here. Rutgers, more likely than not, will have to go to the air here on 3rd and 10.
And I'm looking at number 22, Jermon Green. They picked him apart all of the second half. They went to him on that 3rd down. It was possibly a holding. It was probably uncatchable, as Adam mentioned. So that watch number 22. Can he lock down in coverage? He could have been called for maybe a penalty. He was not. It's going to be very interesting because if I'm Rutgers right now, I'm saying I'm going right back to his matchup right there. Whoever the receiver is on Jermon Green, I'm saying I'm throwing the football right there. So we'll see if they do that. We are just about set to get this 3rd down and 10, probably the biggest play of the game so far.
I would have to agree. If you're going to look for your primary option, it's got to be towards Jermon Green. But back to that last play, they showed it on the TV on the televised broadcast after the fact. That ball, I think, was more than uncatchable. Yeah, there was a little bit of contact, maybe a little bit of pull on the jersey, but not enough to make an impact on, the catchability of that ball.
So we are just about set to go. 3rd down and 10 from the 11 of Michigan. They draw empty set, 4 wideouts, including Pacheco. 2 on the near side, 2 on the far side. A tight end in as well, who they haven't gotten to. That's number 5 for Rutgers. Giovanni Haskins, as Pacheco moves back into the backfield. Verdell looking, end zone broken up. Oh, what a defensive play. Vincent Gray was there, but a great defensive play. Brad Hawkins, what a play to get over there and bat that football away. 4th down and 10. Rutgers will have to kick a field goal.
Same thing as last drive. We mentioned it then. Brad Dawkins is all over the place anytime the ball goes in the air. Playing for pride here, the New Jersey native up against the hometown Scarlet Knights.
I love that storyline. New Jersey native, as Michigan's defense gets a big-time stop. Ambrioso on the field goal try. It's about a 28-yard field goal, and it is no good. He missed it. He was 2 for 2 on the day, and he missed it wide right. So Michigan catches a break. This defense holds, and a 29-yard attempt goes wide right. Greg Schiano can't believe it. Michigan, 20-13, lead holds. They'll get the football.
I mean, that's a chip shot. That's basically an extra point. And all game long, he's just been smoking it through the uprights. I mean, he's been putting a lot of power behind it. And that one, it looked like it literally looked like a chip shot, like at golf. He just tried to loft it up softly through the uprights and just floated it wide right.
What's the game plan going forward for Michigan's offense? They have not made any adjustments since halftime. They've had 3 drives and 3 3-and-outs for a combined total of 6 yards. They got to do something here.
1st and 10 from the 20. McNamara will run it with Haskins, and he's got nowhere to go. A bunch of Rutger tacklers in there, led by number 00, Christian Eisen, the defensive back. They're coming up to the line of scrimmage. And you're looking at this, and you're saying the run game, the passing game was so close on those first couple drives. You got to go back to that if you're the Wolverines.
On the flip side of that, we mentioned it earlier, the difference that timeouts make in this game. Michigan has 3 timeouts to Rutgers 1. If you run the ball this drive, you can eat all sorts of time off the clock.
But you got to get a first down. If 3-and-out won't cut it here.
And they obviously agree with Charlie's statement as they get a 21. Actually, not a bad gain. 25. That's a gain of 5. Good run from Corbin. That's one of the best runs we've seen in the second half.
I know it's 3rd and 1. It's 3rd and 5. It's still not even that close, and I would be very concerned right now for Michigan if they don't get a first down here. You're kicking it to the red-hot Rutgers offense. Guess like Scarlet Hot Rutgers offense. And you got a big break for them getting the stop in the red zone and missing the kick. You can't just give it up to them.
Big 3rd down and 5 coming. They'll motion over Dylan Baldwin. He's been quiet today, only has a catch. Here's McNamara. He'll look to the left side. Henning, it is short. It was short of A.J. Henning, not the best McNamara throw. And I think he struggled a little bit in the second half. He's made a couple errant throws, and now that will bring the punt team right back on the field. Another 3 and out, and another disappointing offensive series for the Michigan Wolverines.
Michigan has had 4 drives this half. First one is a gain of none. Second one is a loss of 1. Third one is a gain of 6. And this final one, a gain of 5. All of them disappointing. One team made an adjustment at halftime. One team did not. I think everyone knows which team is which.
So Robbins will punt it away, and that one is
great
deep.
punt.
Really good punt to the 26-yard line. It is returnable, though, and there's a little bit of a hole for the returner, Young, and he's up to about the 34.
Michigan got a really beautiful gift from Rutgers with that missed field goal and that stop on the goal line, but they just gave it back to them. They didn't even burn a minute of clock. That last drive, let me see how long it was. It was 54 seconds. That is absurd. You shouldn't be doing that.
Now, I want to bring up this one point. I know it's early, and I know it's one game, and I know it's basically one half. The McNamara missed throw at the end of the first half. 2 drives ago, those 2 missed throws to those wide-open receivers, and that missed throw to A.J. Henning on that drive. Does J.J. McCarthy do that? Do we know that? I hate to bring up this question with 8 minutes to go, but does J.J. McCarthy do that?
I don't think so.
I don't think we've seen enough of J.J. McCarthy so far this season, and in any kind of situation where there's any sort of pressure to warrant putting him in the game right now. Cade has kind of established himself as the guy. I mean, we've pretty much seen throughout this season so far that Cade's the guy and that Harbaugh is going to roll with him until he does something just egregious that makes it obvious that he is not fit for the position. I don't see any world where we see J.J. McCarthy in this game that Cade McNamara doesn't get hurt in.
You know, I'm just bringing up the question because of a couple of errant throws. Got to bring up the question because of the talent, the 5-star ability J.J. McCarthy has. But I totally agree with you, Charlie. You got to ride out McNamara right now. It's 20-13. Now you got this, as Adam mentioned, 54 seconds, defense right back on the field. I expect Rutgers has moved the ball up and down the field in this second half. I expect them to continue to do that. So
they compound on each other. This defense barely had 2 minutes of rest on the sideline. Now you're asking them to go back and defend against this red-hot offense. It's incredibly tough to do, and they did a great job in the red zone of holding them to, turned out to be 0 points due to that missed kick. But it is not a recipe for success.
Yeah, this Michigan defense, they've been weird to watch the past few possessions because they've just been exploited, and Rutgers has been able to do whatever they want until they get into the red zone, and then they look like the best defense in the country.
I know, and that's not the worst thing. I know notorious, infamous football figure in the state of Michigan once said, let's have a bend but not break defense, with the former Lions coach saying that. But it is good skill to have. You don't want to have a bend and break defense.
I would much rather
prefer
be
a team that doesn't bend at all.
Yeah, I would much rather be they're great in the red zone as opposed to not than the other way around.
So here we go. 1st down and 10 for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights from the 34. 8:03 to go. In the shotgun, 2 receivers on the near side, none on the far side. They'll do a read option. They'll give it on the edge to Pacheco, and he's up to the 35, inside to the 37, 38-yard line. Tackle made by a couple of Michigan defensive backs, led by number 20 and number 25.
This is just more that we're seeing of this Michigan defense. They look tired out there. They can't have the speed they did at the beginning of the game.
So here's another run and a wide open hole for Vidal, and he's got another 1st down for the Scarlet Knights.
they're routinely getting 6, 7, 8, 10-yard gains on these rushes, on these very elementary play calls. It's not like they're tricking Michigan's defense. You can just tell that they're tired and hurting and can't run as quickly as these offensive Scarlet Knights.
So first down and 10 inside Michigan territory from the 47. Verdal. He will give it once again. Pacheco pushing forward. Got a couple up to the 38, tackled by a host of Michigan defenders for about a gain of 4.
Reflecting on what you said, Adam, they do just look tired, and I think a big part of that has to fall, the big part of that responsibility has to fall on the offense. Like you said, they had a 52-second drive. Like, this defense is playing well for being thrown out there nonstop for the past 20 minutes. You got to be able to give your defense some rest if you want them to be able to produce at the high caliber that they can.
It feels like they're resting in between the 20s, and then once they get down to the 20, then they really turn it up. So now, second down and 6 from the 43. Vedral looking on the right side. Got a man. It's Melton, up to the 37, 38, and he's just a yard short of that first down.
Jamon Green just looks lost out there almost. I mean, that ball was caught, and he didn't move any farther up than the coverage he dropped back into. He was about 5 yards off the ball. Dax Hill came from about 10 yards away laterally and made a great play.
Third down and 1. Did he get there? I don't think he did. I do not think he got there. Pacheco was stopped by a host of Michigan defenders led by Hill Green in the backfield. And now a decision time for Greg Schiano and this offense. They'll keep the offense on the field. Fourth down and 2 from the 39.
This is really tough. You're on the 39-yard line. You can't kick it way too far. Punting with 5 minutes left and down a touchdown is basically a surrender. But it is 4th and 2. It's going to be a big play, and they need to get this for the Rutgers Scarlet Knight. Even if Michigan's offense can't find their way, they should be in good hands.
4th and 2. Crowd is on its feet. They'll keep it with Moden, and he will not get there. It was the backup quarterback.
Johnny Langan again coming in, number 21 in that Wildcat formation, and we have the signal. That's a turnover on downs.
Huge stop for the Michigan defense, and it all comes down to the offense and Cade McNamara. Is he going to be able to do what it takes to ice this game? Up by 7, 5:24 left in the big house versus the Scarlet Knights.
You have to be smart with the clock here if you're Michigan. Rutgers only has one timeout. 5 minutes and 24 seconds. You're up by a touchdown. Be smart with the clock, and you can't have another 3-and-out drive if you're the Michigan Wolverines.
The students that stuck this one out are really giving themselves a treat today. It's coming down to the wire. I don't think many people at halftime going in, it was up 20-3, would think it was this close. But
so the interesting thing there, Johnny Langan on a 4th down and 3 earlier in the game got the first down. Michigan was ready for it, and you could have said, you know what, Vedral and Pacheco have had such great success using that read option. They didn't turn to it. They brought in Langdon, and he was stopped short. And that was a good adjustment by the Michigan defense. They knew that he was keeping the ball once he came in the football game. They saw it earlier in the game. They adjusted. Great job by Mike McDonald and that Michigan defense. And a really big stop to give Michigan maybe a little bit of breathing room if they can move the ball a little bit.
The Michigan defense, it just deserves all of the admiration that they get here. They've been phenomenal on these past few drives when it has mattered.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is a defensive win if Michigan is able to come out. This is most certainly not an offensive win. I know on the DSRs all week we will be discussing about this game regardless of the outcome. But unless there's an offensive explosion in the final 5 minutes, 24 seconds, we're going to be talking about whether there needs to be a change at quarterback.
Yeah, and if you want to listen to that Monday through Thursday, you can tune in at 6 p.m. to 88.3 FM to listen to our WCBN Sports segment, the Daily Sports Report.
I will be hosting on Monday's show. We're going to be talking a lot about the NFL, and I assure you a lot about this game. Hot takes galore, including Tom Brady takes. Let's hope he can pull it out in Los Angeles tomorrow.
So we're just about ready to go. 5:24 in the football game, and now the attention turns after that big defensive stop from the Wolverines. Can the offense generate anything? Can they get a first down? Kind of put this game, any points here puts this game well away, and Michigan can survive and advance and go to Madison next week. They got to get a first down. You can't put this back into the hands of the defense with 1 minute of rest. They just made a huge stop. Offense, my thing is right now, figure it out, because this is getting a little ridiculous. Get a first down. You haven't gotten a first down nearly the second half, it feels like.
Yeah, no first downs the second half, and I've been stressing it. It compounds on itself. A longer offensive drive leads to better defensive outcomes because they're more well-rested. They have more ability to really sprint, and we've seen how tired they have looked, and even despite that, they got a key stop last drive.
So first down and 10 from the 38-yard line. McNamara in the shotgun. He'll give it on the right side. Here goes Corum. Finally, a big run from Blake Corum. He'll move inside the 45. Didn't get across the
stopped out. Yeah,
he stepped out of bounds, but a huge run and a huge first down, and the Michigan fans are loving it.
I'm up in the booth, and I could even see the expression on his face, knowing that he missed that opportunity. If he just would have kept a foot, an inch or two to the left, he would probably be on the 30-yard line right now.
So I think they're calling this second down.
It will be
he definitely
second down.
stepped out. There's just a little bit of miscommunication between the chain gang.
So second and half a foot. But that is the spark this Michigan team needed. Shame he went out of bounds. It kept the clock from moving. But I'm sure Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan offense loves to see that jump start on first down.
So second down and 1 from their own 47-yard line. In the pistol is McNamara. They'll give it to Corum. Corum almost had a lot of white space upfield. Big tackle from Rutgers, but a good gain from Blake Corum to get a first down. Tackle was made by Rutgers number 11, Drew Singletary. So a big tackle from Singletary, but Blake Corum gets a first down, moves the football, gain of 6 up to the 47-yard line.
That play right there is probably the sole biggest tackle of Drew Singleton's career. That tackle right there stopped a touchdown.
Yeah, but it might not be helpful because at least now Michigan has the opportunity to burn off more clock, up by 7 and potentially get points on the board. But you're totally right. Stopped a touchdown.
So McNamara back in the pistol. They'll give it to Corum once again. Big stop. Good tackle from this Rutgers Scarlet Knight defense. Tackle made by Tyreek Maddox Williams. Gain of about 2.
That's a poor spot. Poor spot. He was down on the 43, but they put it down on the 45. So only going to be a gain of 2.
Second down and 8. McNamara looking over to the sideline. He's in the pistol. 2 wide receivers on the far side. None on the near side. A couple tight ends in. Looks like a run-heavy set.
Yeah, I think Michigan will be very happy if they don't have to pass it the rest of this game.
McNamara will give it. He's got Corum on the right side. Good tackle, but that's going to be a face mask. 58 and 2, both for Rutgers got him. It was Tor and Avery Young. I think one of them got the face mask.
That is huge. It turned a 3rd and 8 to likely a first down. Yep, and that's what they'll be calling.
We couldn't tell from the booth which one it was, but a huge break for the Wolverines if this is called like I think.
Corum was heated after he got up. Obviously frustrated, he got face masked, and then after he stood up, he got pushed by a Rutgers defender. He quick turned around, and he wanted all the smoke.
So it was Tor on the face mask, giving Michigan a huge break. That will move the football inside the 30 to around the 30, So Michigan will have the football now with Jake Moody's leg. You're well into field goal range. I wouldn't throw it ball out.
Yeah, and Torrey with that face mask, you're kind of seeing some dominoes fall from earlier. He's getting as much time as he is because Julius Turner at the line got ejected earlier in this game with that targeting call. So kind of those dominoes fall late in the game.
Just as important as those extra yards, the fact that it's now first down again.
And the clock's moving.
So with just under 3:30 to go, McNamara in the pistol. Corum back there. They'll give it right to him, and Corum moving up tackled by Maddox Williams. He got about 3 and a 2nd down and 7 from about the 28.
If this game ends like it's looking like, Schiano's going to get a lot of questions about his timeout usage. To use 2 of your 3 timeouts that early in the fourth quarter is just ludicrous. In a 1-touchdown game, it's a 7-point game. And now Michigan might not even have to score again. They could just ice the clock.
Very good point, Adam. Again, 1 timeout. There's no 2-minute warning here in college football, so that is very key. You can just run the clock out, and again, you're in field goal range, so looking up for the Wolverines offense after those couple first downs. McNamara gives it once again to Corum, and finally he's stopped by a host of Rutgers defenders. He probably just got back to the line, so now a 3rd down and 7 from the 27, but again, that clock keeps ticking, but Rutgers will use their final timeout with 2:33 to go. So if Michigan does not get this first down, there will be about 150, 145 to go, assuming, and then they'll probably kick the field goal if that were to happen, or they can just get the first down and end the game.
Yeah, first down would end the game. They can knee it. Field goal isn't guaranteed, but with Moody's leg, it would be pretty likely. The wind has died down almost completely from earlier, but it is on the 27 right now, so that would be a 45-yard kick if they end up going for it, assuming they don't gain any yards here or don't lose any. But this game's coming down to the end.
Yeah, 45 yards, well within Moody's range, but obviously a first down here is ideal.
Yeah, you don't even really need a score if you could just milk the clock off without any timeouts remaining from Rutgers especially.
So here we go, 3rd down and 7. I'm wondering if now with 3 wide receivers in, are they just trying to spread this out a little bit, maybe do a screen pass? I don't think they do that. Here we go. They run it with Corum. No, they kept it with McNamara. Very interesting play call and a good read by the Scarlet Knight defense. A really good read by...
I am dumbfounded with that play call.
I think it was supposed to be a read option, and McNamara just made the wrong call because that hole was wide open for Blake Corum.
Yeah,
and
even if he's stopped, it'll be better yardage. Now that's a loss of 3 yards. It makes this kick even harder for Moody. Granted, he has the leg, so it's still within his range, but still.
So here we go. A long field goal, and the kick is good.
No
good.
No good. It is wide right.
We cannot see from our viewpoint. That was no good from Jake Moody.
Down 7, Michigan will give the ball over to Rutgers, and this game is much, much closer than it looks like it should have been. Schiano is loud on the sideline, and Harbaugh is dumbfounded. Corum had the open hole. It would have been at least a couple yards closer, possibly even a first down there. You got to ask, what was Cade thinking?
So now 20-13 after the missed field goal for Moody. Had plenty of leg, just missed it far right. And you can see the face expression from our viewpoint. He is not happy. So 20-13. Rutgers will get the football from the 29-yard line. Crowd is right back into it. Michigan sideline is going crazy despite the miss. 1:49 to go. First down and 10 for Vedral. He's in the pistol. Back to throw. Vedral looks. He's looking right side. Wide open receiver, but he overthrew it. He was open for a second. Hawkins closed in, and that was incomplete. Just not a good throw.
Yeah, that one just sails over the head. But as we mentioned earlier, it is going most likely to come down to timeout usage for Rutgers. I mean, they've got 1:44 left to play here and no timeouts.
So Vedral will keep it. Big play from this Michigan defense. Big play.
And it looks like it's a fumble, and Michigan's got to take possession. We talked about how there hasn't been any turnovers yet this season. Scratch that. Rutgers gives up their first fumble, but there are some flags on the field. It is after the play. I wonder if that'll be excessive celebration or if it'll change the call. But regardless, Michigan has to be happy. That likely ices the game. Ruling on the field as Michigan recovers it. However, let's see what the flag is going to be.
I don't think they're calling the flag yet. They're waiting because they're trying to figure out if there was a fumble recovery, and maybe that flag came after the play, which is what is to be assumed, as Adam, you mentioned.
after the play, unsportsmanlike conduct on Michigan. So I don't think it even matters that much. You're still going to get the ball. They do not have Rutgers does not have any timeouts, so Michigan could knee it and ice this game. I don't even believe they need a first down anymore.
No.
This game is over, and that is a huge shot by the defense. Coming into this game, we talked about how Michigan does not, both Michigan and Rutgers did not have a turnover. Michigan kept that streak going. Rutgers did not, and it came at the worst possible time. That is Charlton, I believe, who got the fumble.
Junior Colson recovers the fumble. And, I mean, they showed the replay up there on the board. At the time of the play, I thought he was down, but watching the replay, there was no shot. He was down. So this game, barring a fumble on the snap from Cade McNamara, this game is as good as over.
And the student section is slowly making their way out. They know what's at stake here. This was a closer game than many Michigan fans were hoping, but in the end, goes into the standings the same. What is going on? They can't even knee it correctly. He falls right onto his back. This should be victory formation for a reason. This game, and especially the second half, is making me question Cade McNamara's future at quarterback. He can't even take it in victory formation properly.
I mean,
what does that say for his future at quarterback?
He got hit by his own center. I mean, Rutgers obviously very frustrated here, trying to do everything they can.
It's called victory formation for a reason. You should not have any margin for error. This should be practically like run it down, take the delay a game. I don't care, but just run out the clock and get the ball down without fumbling it.
Oh, now we've got a flag.
Oh, geez. I think that might be on Rutgers, however.
Yeah, probably offsides if I had to guess.
Rutgers is just pulling out straws. 53 seconds remaining. 2nd and 11. Assuming this is down, Michigan just needs one more knee to close out this game. But this game was much closer. Where do you think Michigan goes in the standings?
I don't see Michigan moving at all.
I would say
I don't think this game has done anything to.
You see Wisconsin lost, though. Do you think that Michigan might go up one to replace them?
Potentially. That's the only move I can see Michigan making. I don't see them going down at all. The only time I see them going up is if, they fill in to replace Wisconsin.
The way people look at this game will be very dependent on how both of these teams finish the season. If Rutgers is truly a dominant Big Ten team, this game will probably look like a tough but gritty win. If Rutgers is a Rutgers team we're used to, this will be a warning sign for a long, long, long Michigan season.
But I think you got to credit this defense, obviously. But I think what is going on now? Now there's a bunch of players on the field. I think that's going to do it. But just quickly, you got to give a lot of credit to this defense. But I think Greg Schiano is building a really good program here in Rutgers. They've built a really good defensive line. Despite the loss of Julius Turner due to targeting, they really stepped up, and you got to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, I mean, as Adam mentioned, this Rutgers team is not the same program that we saw, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. This team is forming themselves into a competitive Big Ten program, and I think that just speaks volumes to the coaching staff down in New Jersey.
And with today's win for Michigan, 968 wins, a record in college football. I'm always curious when Michigan's going to be surpassed by Alabama. But for now, they're hanging on to that record.
But the final score coming in 20-13, as we mentioned, a gritty but good win for Michigan. First Big Ten game of the season. They hold on to that undefeated record. Now have wins over Western Michigan, Washington, Northern Illinois, and now on homecoming weekend, a win over the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Next weekend, Michigan looks to continue this impressive campaign down in Madison, Wisconsin, against the Wisconsin Badgers. But with that is going to do it for WCBN Sports coverage live here from the Big House. We would like to thank you all for tuning in and spending your Saturday with us. My name has been Charlie Brigham, again, alongside me, Adam Bressler, and Matt Levy. And we're going to leave you like we always do with a good night and a Go Blue.